Howdy, everybody. At 6:08 p.m. this evening on Tuesday, June 9th, 2026, I announced that we're here for the regular session of the Coppell City Council. We do have a quorum present, and I open the meeting. We're convening in the work session in the first floor conference room. We did have a little glitch in our audio-visual equipment, so I'm just re-announcing this. The public is invited and welcome to attend. Thank you. The time we opened a work session at 6:08. Just as a note, citizens' comments will not be heard during the work session, but will be heard during the regular session under citizens' appearance. We have 5 items up for discussion today. There is a request to defer item E, which is an update regarding the Coppell Art Center, to the next meeting so that all members of the council can be present. Starting with item A, this is a discussion regarding the agenda. I wanted to go over a couple of them. First, I did put my name in to TML for the president-elect position. TML goes through a really weird routine to elect the president, and the president-elect is by nomination, and then it goes to the entire board for just a routine vote. Not dissimilar to what Mike went through for ICMA. I've got to get a resolution from the council to approve that before they'll accept the application. So that is item B.
You want that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure.
I currently serve as a director, and we do like 3 meetings a year, so it's not like a major. A lot of it's done by video. There was a question on item D. I trust that was answered by staff's memo. Any other questions on the agenda items? I don't know who asked D, but if you have any, Ramesh?
No, I asked D and they answered it very well.
Okay, thank you.
Staff did.
Any other questions on the agenda?
It's
So-
in your tidbits. Is
It's
that
in
correct?
tidbits.
So it came out late.
It's basically the,
Tonight? No,
It's okay.
yeah.
it's nothing.
It's the state contract.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions on the agenda? Let's move on to item B, discussion regarding bond refunding. I'm guessing that would be Ms. Kiln.
It is. Thank you. And good evening, Mayor and Council. Let's get there. Thank you for the opportunity to provide additional information on the bond refunding item that is on tonight's regular session agenda. We recognize that we spent a lot of time sharing information about this new method, but maybe not a lot of time providing information regarding the numbers and the impact of the market on the bond refunding. And so I hope the presentation and the discussion will be helpful as you consider that item later this evening. So tonight, the agenda, we thought to help you with your decision this evening that we would provide a review of the debt planning strategy that I presented at the February council retreat. And then Jason will provide you with a market update and share a recommendation concerning the parameters based on the current market. And if you have any questions as we walk through the information, just please stop and ask, because it really is important that you feel that you have the information that you need to consider the item this evening. So this slide summarizes the debt strategy shared with you at the February retreat. First, we identified 2 reasons to explore refunding the 2013 and 2016 certificate of obligation bonds since they became callable. I shared that refunding the bonds would reduce the city's future debt service costs. Much like refinancing your home, refunding a bond is done to reduce the overall cost of the outstanding debt. And then second, I shared that the savings would help create capacity for a future bond issue to fund the reconstruction of fire stations 1, 2, and 3 while maintaining the INS portion of your property tax rate. Again, this is just providing you options. You haven't approved issuing future debt. It just provides some options. So after sharing the strategic reasons to refund, I shared the refunding method that would be new to Coppell, but not new to the industry. And that method is allowed by Local Government Code 1371. I first shared the parameter sale method with you in May of 2025 at that council retreat. We then brought Jason in to a work session in July of 25 to share more information and to answer questions. Then at the council retreat this February, I reminded council that we were still recommending that we use a parameter sale method. And we do continue to recommend that method because the market is volatile, and this method allows us to move quickly when council's stated direction is achieved. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this slide. Jason really is going to cover this, but I wanted to just remind you that council is effectively pre-approving the refunding subject to the parameters that are shown on this slide. It is just an opportunity for you to revisit these parameters this evening and to look at how can this help us achieve our stated objectives, which again are to reduce the overall bond costs and then create capacity should you choose to issue future bonds while still maintaining that INS tax rate. So specifically, the related agenda item asks council to repeal the existing ordinance and approve a new ordinance with more practical parameters, again, with the intent of this request to preserve the ability to implement the strategy discussed at the February retreat, should market conditions improve and all council approved requirements are met. So now that you have the why, which is the debt planning strategy, I'd like to invite Jason Hughes with Hilltop Securities. He's the city's financial advisor, to provide you an update on the market and walk you through his recommended parameters for both the CO's refunding. He's also going to share his recommended parameters for the CRDC revenue bonds. We will be taking that to the board on July 20th. They need to approve the parameters, and then we'll bring that back to council on July 28th for you to approve. But we want to get your input before we take it to the board. So with that, I will turn it over to Jason unless you have any questions for me. Thank you.
Mayor and Council, good to be with you again tonight. I'm going to quickly go through the first couple of slides because you have seen these in the past. Just a reminder, this is a refinancing. All we're looking to do is replace the debt with lower interest rate debt and for debt service savings. This is, of course, a parameter bond sale. As Kim said, this gives us maximum flexibility, and the reason that we need that is because you can see here what interest rates have done. And this is a short synopsis that looks at the day before council met for the original approval. As you can see there, this just goes into the 5-year, that's the bottom interest rate, and then the 10-year, and I just chose these two because the city debt is only a 10-year debt. And so as you can see there's a pretty steady rise from 2.91% on the 10-year up to 3.17%, but we're back down now to about 2.95%. And then on the lower, the 5-year, we went from a 2.51% up to 2.8%. And then again, not all the way down, but back down to 2.58%. These are relatively large moves in the municipal market. You typically don't see moves this big, but of course with what's going on, in particular Iran being the main driver of that, there's a lot of volatility in the market. Again, the parameter allows us, once we meet all the parameters, where we can go in and price those refunding bonds. So on the city geo refunding bonds, on the left-hand side in the dark blue, the suggested parameters, again, is only the 2013 and 2016 COs. Those are the only bonds that we can touch. The amount of bonds between those two in aggregate is $10.34 million. So that would be the amount of par that we would look to take out if we refunded out all of the remaining bonds. So as you can see there, we give ourselves a maximum par amount of $10.5 million, a maximum rate or true interest cost of 3.25%. And then we do have a minimum savings. And the way that minimum savings is calculated is through a present value. Whenever you think about it, the way the refunding works is we sell the refunding bonds, proceeds of that go to pay off the old bondholders. And so you're not getting a check for all those savings. You're taking those savings over the life of the bonds, right? That's why we present value it back. And so if you see there that 3% times, again, I said the $10,340,000, the amount of bonds of the 2013 and 2016 COs, 3% times that number is $310,200. That's how we get back to that present value number. So that would be the minimum amount of present value savings if you were to approve the revised parameters. And then once again, that final maturity, February 1st, 2036. So we are doing this solely for savings. There's no extension of debt. If you go on the left-hand side in kind of the dark gray, one of the things, whenever you see the number, the current PV savings, $224,000, that is after all of the fees have been paid. So one of the things that we have to do is whenever we sell the original debt, we do not simply have the ability to go to the current bondholders and say, rates are lower, we want to trade this out. We have to sell a new series of securities in order to provide the proceeds to take out those bonds. So again, cost of issuance, that covers bond counsel, financial advisor, you do have two rating agencies, that's Moody's and S&P, you pay them, the Attorney General, your paying agent who pays all of your bondholders, as well as the old bondholders. There's also some posting fees because all of this is done electronically. So all of those fees are paid within the refunding bond, plus that amount that is paid to the underwriter for going out and selling the bond. So that $223,000 represents about 2.3% of the overall par amount of the refunding bond. And then again, whenever you go down to the current PV savings, $224,000, that is net of all the fees which have been paid. Once again, all those fees paid out of the refunding bond, they don't come out of general fund or any other city funds. As you can see now, the current PV savings, we do not meet our minimum threshold. So we were at 2.17%. And one of the things, if you have what Kim had, she put together a memo that went through kind of the history of where the PV savings were and where they are now. So whenever we first started kind of looking at this back in February, we were above the 3% threshold at 4.13%. We went down again once the Iran war started, which is the first part of March. So we've been down to 2.4, then it went as low as 1.6%, and now we are again right up around 2.2%. So again, it's that volatility is one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, that we look to get approval of that parameter. So once again, just to be perfectly clear, parameters on the left-hand side, if you approve tonight, these will be the parameters going forward. We have to meet each and every single one of them. Right now, we can't do that. If rates, and I just went in and calculated, if rates were to decrease approximately 0.2% along the interest rate curve, that would hit the 3%. So that's what we're looking at from an interest rate perspective. So let me stop there. I wanted to go into a little bit more detail on that, kind of go through the numbers. Can I answer anything about this before I go and talk about the CRDC loans?
So yeah, Jason, thank you very much. This is helpful. In your first slide where you were showing the 5-year and 10-year curves over the last few months, you said that that was actually relatively volatile. So if we need a 0.2%, that's going down to roughly 2.75, give or take?
Give or take.
So that's a
Yes.
pretty big jump.
It is a big jump, but the one thing I would say is the 3% PV savings is just kind of a target threshold, and I would call that, in my opinion, the industry standard. You could certainly go lower than that, but if you do go lower than that, quite frankly, that would be my recommendation, because I'd like to see us hit at least an industry standard, if not higher.
Okay. Ramesh?
Thank you, Mayor. Jason, thanks for the presentation, and Kim, thanks for all of the background information you provided. When this topic was brought up last time, I was one of the persons that had a lot of questions, and at the time I had recommended that we target a number greater than 3% savings in net present value. Since then, Kim has shown me that the 3% is actually kind of the standard for local governments. And yeah, I think it's nice for us to wait and see if we can ever get a 5%, but the likelihood is probably far out. Meanwhile, we have some important things like having the ability to issue a bond if needed for fire station. So I'm planning to change my mind and approve this when it comes up for the vote later today. Thank you.
Thank you. There's no other questions there. I'll just quickly go through on the CRDC, same exact format. You see there the one series of bonds that the CRDC has outstanding are the 2014. The amount outstanding that we can refund is 21.295 million. So you see our maximum par amount of 21.5. They do go out 2 years further, plus it's a slightly different credit. They're not as good of a credit. They're still a very high credit, but they're not AAA like the city is. So higher rate, still staying with that 3% net present value savings. And as you can see there, that would equate to almost $640,000 on a present value basis. Once again, final maturity, August 2038, no extension. Once again, all of the cost of issuance and underwriting fees, and those equate to about 1.9% of par in this case, are all fully accounted for, and then the PV savings, as it stands right now, would be about $327,000. So we have a little bit further to go. I had, the analysis I had, we wouldn't have to go up or go down quite 0.3%, but close to that in order to reach that. The good thing about this is it still gives us the flexibility. Assuming your approval, obviously with the CRDC, assuming the board's approval, it gives us the ability to go in and undertake these refundings, capture the savings if we have the opportunity. If we don't, nothing bad happens. You just keep the debt service currently as it is, and we always have this ability to come back going forward. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
I don't recall talking about these CRDC bonds before. Did we talk about these before? So this is new.
So we did talk about them in February at the retreat. I showed you this, the GO, or the COs, and then I showed you the revenue. But this has not been a council item for action.
Okay.
And it's not tonight either. We just wanted to show you to get your feedback on the parameters, because this is what the board will see. The board has to approve it before council can approve it.
I got it. Okay. And this on the right, your boxes on the right, that's based on today's rates?
Those were rates as of close of business on Friday.
Soon,
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
recently.
Yes, sir.
And I had another one, but I don't recall what it is, so that's fine. That's clarified.
I'm just, have a general question about CRDC. You said they're rated lower. Is that just because of the more volatile nature of sales tax?
That's exactly it.
Okay,
That's exactly it.
all right, thank you.
Ramesh?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Council Member Neville's made the point I was going to make. Thank you.
So will you be presenting to the CRDC board?
Yes, sir.
And if the other one is 2/10, we need about a 3/10, so the timing of this one will be a big determining factor on whether this one goes through, if I'm reading because we're still 2 months out from CRDC action and council action.
It is. I mean, obviously, rates could decrease, they could increase during that time, but yes, we have to wait to get that formal approval.
I attended a conference last week, and there was Kim, you're gonna get me the acronym, the GFAO?
GFOA?
GFO, whatever, yeah, that one. Government Finance Officers Association, and they were talking about nationwide, there was about $4.7 billion in bonds that were available. No, I'm sorry, there's $4.7 billion available to fund bonds, and there's $6 billion of bonds available. So they were saying that there was an oversupply in the bond market. They weren't expecting to see the rates drop much. That was kind of their.
I don't know what their specific data shows. I will tell you though that I've sold roughly 20 deals this year, Texas-based, and have had no problem with them. So Texas trades very well in the market.
Well, this
The
was nationwide. And
Yeah,
so,
and it is absolutely, because I do a little bit of work outside of Texas, it is absolutely a different reception for different states other than Texas. So the AAA as well as your sales tax revenue corporation is AA, AAA, and so those will sell very, very well. I'm not worried about getting them sold.
I'm sure I was listening to some C and D rated as well.
Those I can't speak to.
Thank you. Kevin?
I just wanted to, Kim, are you going to be presenting, or will this be kind of at CRDC, will this kind of be another tag team kind of approach on that? Okay. I appreciate the presentation. I definitely think it would be very informative to the members of the CRDC. So I was just making sure that we get something similar. So thank you.
John?
The question I had is, do we have a window of time? Are these callable until maturity at this point, or do we have just a window of time to actually call
It's a
these?
great question. So anytime they become callable, they're callable anytime thereafter.
Okay.
So
we don't-
let's say worst case scenario, rates stay elevated, and we're sitting here a year from now and rates have come back down, you still have the ability to call them at that point.
And we put a 12-month expiration on this, is that right? Is that what we did?
I believe it's 12 months.
12 months expiration on this and we'd do it again? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
Thanks, Jason.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, discussion and direction regarding the proposed O-Town Special District considerations.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight's discussion is intended to receive council direction regarding several foundational components of a potential Old Town Special District framework, including governance structure, naming convention, geographic boundaries, and a potential statutory provision related to alcohol consumption within the district. These foundational components represent the first step in establishing the framework for the proposed district and will inform future legislative drafting. At the May 26th council work session, council received an overview of potential district concepts and examples from existing Texas special districts. Since that discussion, staff have continued evaluating district frameworks, reviewing council feedback, and coordinating with the city attorney's office and legislative partners. Additionally, during the May 26th work session, council requested information regarding whether a district-specific statutory provision could allow an alcoholic beverage purchased from a permitted establishment to be carried and consumed outside of that establishment but within the boundaries of the district. Staff has since received additional information from the city attorney's office regarding that topic, which will be discussed as part of tonight's framework discussion. Council also discussed the concept of reinvesting sales tax generated within the special district back into the district to continue future activation and programming. The city attorney's office has provided the direction that such reinvestment could be accomplished through future budgetary strategies. It would not require inclusion in the enabling legislation. Staff's goal this evening is to receive direction regarding governance structure, naming convention, geographic boundaries, and whether such a statutory alcohol provision should be included in the future legislative drafting. This slide illustrates the overall process associated with creating a special district legislation, including the key decisions and actions that will occur throughout the process. Phase 1 is focused on establishing the district framework through enabling legislation. This is the phase we are currently in and includes the framework decisions before council tonight. Phase 2 includes the legislative process itself, including legislative notice requirements, bill drafting, and legislative strategy. During this phase, council may also be asked to discuss and provide direction regarding future implementation considerations and any local ordinances that may be appropriate should the legislation ultimately be approved. Phase 3 would occur only if legislation is approved. It would include implementation activities such as board organization, bylaws, planning, and adoption of any local ordinances necessary to support the district. As shown here, staff is currently in phase 1, the district framework phase. The phase focuses on establishing the foundational elements that will shape the enabling legislation and guide future legislative drafting. The purpose of tonight's discussion is to receive council direction regarding the framework components identified in this phase before moving to the legislative process. In addition to the items shown on this slide, staff will also be seeking direction regarding whether the alcohol consumption provision should be included within the enabling legislation. Here we go. So, these are the items that we will be discussing tonight, in addition to the alcoholic beverage statutory that allows a beverage that is purchased in a permitted place to be consumed outside of that place. So you would be leaving the restaurant but still within the district boundaries. This presentation was finalized when that information was received, so just know it's not included in the slides, but we still will be talking about it. So, if council wishes to include the authority that specific regulations governing how the provision, so this is the alcoholic provision that allows consumption, would operate, that is a decision we need tonight. So future conversations would include what that regulation or enforcement would look like. Tonight is just around if council wishes to include that framework in the enabling legislation. If that is not included in the legislation, then it would not be available as an option unless additional legislation is pursued and approved during future legislative session. So we'd have to go back and ratify the original special district to include that later on. With that context, staff is seeking council direction regarding whether that proposed alcohol consumption should be included. So that's the first decision. I will pause here. My goal is to pause in between all of these to allow for discussion decision rather than waiting to the end because there are a couple of decisions.
I'm gonna speak up based on the surveys that we did and all of the feedback from virtually everybody in the area, like over 80% of the respondents. It's gotta be a yay on that. I don't see how this would work without that.
Yes.
What's that?
Yes.
What?
No, that's exactly what, it's the whole reason why we're doing it, right? So,
Well, I mean, she needs a yes.
yes for me.
Yes, so,
But this is on the ability to walk around with it, right? Outside of
Correct.
the establishment?
Yeah.
correct. The initial was just around being able to permit a non-restaurant location that's able to serve alcohol. This is, could you dispense it inside the location and consume it outside?
Yes.
Mark?
You know, this is a long-term goal. We don't know what that area is gonna look like in the future. And going back to the legislature to make any kind of change would be virtually impossible, probably. I mean, it's a one-time shot, so we need to give as much flexibility. I mean, I'm not gonna say we're gonna turn this into,
Mardi Gras?
or like City of Addison type of event, but having that kind of flexibility where we could have, multiple venues down there and, people going from place to place. I think it would be good to have that flexibility. Thumbs up?
Bob?
Yeah, one of the things that I visited with Ms. Willis about when we talk about these things, it's about what you want down there. That's one of the things we've got to make sure we cover. I assume we want to have a beer establishment, or a microbrewery, or a micro distillery, or a tasting room, and a wine bar. So, and I don't think, I would not recommend we regulate the licensing of that. So we just need to make sure that those kinds of uses are allowed. Okay, that would be one thing that we would do. The state would control the actual dispensing of the alcohol. So whatever the state requires for you to walk out of the bar, restaurant, wine bar, microbrewery, they would have to comply with that. There's very little actual law about consumption. You can walk around with a beer on the sidewalk right now. So, unless you, because I went through and checked all that. So it's really about late hours. We don't have late hours, so we would want to include to make sure we covered that. In other words, alcoholic beverages can be served and consumed after midnight. Right now, the state law, the state governs 2:15 to 7 in the morning, something like that. So you can't consume alcohol in a public place after 2:15, or you can't serve it after 2:15, or under a licensed facility, you can't be in there with a drink. That's why the cutoff is at 2 o'clock, so you get 15 minutes to drink your last call. So it's that after hours thing, and we want to make sure that we encompass the uses of alcoholic beverages that are allowed under the code. And then we'll probably have an alcoholic beverage code for us to govern things like, what the parameters are. You can't leave entertainment district with your drink, and we can put some other layers on that. So and I'll be happy to answer any questions, but I want to make sure we cover what do you want down there, and make sure we give as broad a sweep as you want. No liquor stores, I would take it. But we want the facilities. In order to get some of the facilities that you really want down there, you have to have, you know, the election to have, open the city up, and it's my understanding we did not want that, so that's why we're doing this, but I want to make sure we capture the uses that you want down there.
So, thank you, Mayor. So, if we build as much flexibility as possible into the legislation, where do we set the parameters for the actual governance?
Here by ordinance. That's
Okay.
what, to allow us to have those uses, and what I would recommend is the language would be that the city would then have the right to regulate through the charter or ordinance the restrictions and the uses that are allowed in the district.
Because go ahead, I'm sorry.
And so that we would just have ordinances that you would have to adopt to set those parameters of, you know, after hours. We need the ability to establish after hours, because normally right now you have to have an election to do that, so.
I mean, because to me, I mean, those studies were talking about having a bar, a full bar service until whenever, 2 in the morning or whatever. I didn't recall anything about walking around. You know, the thing is too that, you know, I would like to, as much as possible, preserve more of a family-friendly environment down there. And I've been to Bourbon Street, you know, at midnight, and there's nothing family-friendly about it. But Mark makes a good point. If, you know, this is probably our one shot, so as long as the council can regulate this by ordinances to the specifics, maybe initially we decide, for example, we don't want the walking around just yet, let's just try to get a bar down there, because you gotta have someone to serve first.
Right, you could say that the council could establish by local ordinance the implementation, and so you would have to pass an ordinance to allow people wandering around with liquor, mixed beverage, or alcohol or beer. We've actually seen some ordinances where cities have adopted kind of this, they call it sip and stroll or something, Rand's, for beer and wine only, no hard liquor. So that's an option. It's about the dispensing, because the regulations the state has are about dispensing and taking it out of the establishment. That's where they catch you. It's not that you can't consume it outside, you just can't get it outside, unless you bring your own.
Right.
Carry them around your back pocket, like my grandpa.
Could we decide, for example, okay, we're going to have a Mardi Gras in March, a city Mardi Gras deal? Could we decide that we would only have the walk around, like issue a special use permit for that event, where we would allow it for that event, but it wouldn't be something that would be allowed year round as in the normal course?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
1 year home rule. 2, we would write the legislation broad enough for us to adopt whatever regulations we wanted to tailor for our entertainment district.
Yeah, I mean, having the flexibility makes sense. Having the one shot makes sense, so.
You have a version of that now in a special event. Like, I think there was a couple of times where we had Oak Fest and we allowed the beer garden out at the park, and that was fine.
For that, yeah.
So we would have that ability, and we wrote that in an ordinance, because you can't have alcohol in the park,
Otherwise,
except for
yeah.
under a special event with an authorization from the council.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Kevin?
Actually, Bob really touched on kind of a point that I wanted to make was, maybe there's a future down in that area where, Friday night we have the bands that are out there and stuff, and so I do want someone to be able to maybe, go into the establishment, purchase a beverage, and then come out and enjoy the music. So definitely understand the, wanting to have that ability to regulate that. My specific question was, can we regulate the walking around, if you will, to a certain area within the district, or do we have to allow the entire district to be walking around?
We would have Yeah, I mean, you could tailor it the way you want to tailor it. The problem might be enforcing it more than
Sure.
whether we could cobble together something and then, you know, if you go to this concept of allowing walking around with alcoholic beverage, then you gotta think about those areas immediately adjacent where someone may not be participating, but walking out there and then going down the street and that kind of thing, but
Just,
that's an enforcement issue
Yeah.
as well.
just to the point of flexibility, right? But I mean,
Yes.
that's the kind of, like you said, Oak Fest or something like that, where we have had, you know, entertainment going on, and you purchase at a separate area, but, you know, kind of have free roam in that park
We had a beer
situation.
garden, I think, is
Yeah.
what we called it.
Ah,
And
yes.
you could stay there with your thing and then kept the family-friendly part, and then if you wanted to have a beer or adult beverage, you had to stay in that area, so it's the same concept. So yes, you can.
All right.
I seem to remember that the Arts Foundation did a Art Sip and Stroll for many years, so
It's the Arts Council.
council did it.
Yeah.
We still do it, don't we?
They still do it, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the difference there is they're not selling it, so that's what, to his
gotcha.
point, that's where the, and correct me, there's like 9 different categories of alcohol beverage permitting by the state.
Oh, at least.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
I mean,
And
there's.
so
yeah.
what, part of what you get into is you can pick one and it may do 90% of what you want, but you gotta go, it's a very
It's
strong.
strange, it's the,
Yes.
it's a labyrinth of knuckleheadedness, but it just is what it is.
That's stated better than I can put it. Brianna, you had a question?
Yeah, I mean, I want what you just mentioned, Mark, about the flexibility, so I guess I'm in favor of that. And I guess I'm kind of with you, Jim, on identifying what those parameters are. What's the timing for that? Like, when do we have to start to figure out what that looks like? Because there's a lot that's been put out here, right? Like 2 o'clock or walking around or whatever it might be. I want us to be mindful of, we also have a neighborhood to think of. And so, when do we, for now, you need our okay on moving forward, and then at what point do we start to put
Correct, so
guidelines?
between now and really the end of the legislative session, so.
Okay, we
what
got
would
time.
Yeah, we've got time, so it would be essentially creating these ordinances that, best case scenario, this is passed this legislative session, then we can bring them in the very next council meeting. and
You
pass
wouldn't
them.
hear about this again until at least it passes.
Okay,
Yes, but the detail part, we can continue, this is just the framework,
Gotcha.
kind of step 1.
okay. I just wanted to make sure we don't get,
Ahead of
like, the
ourselves.
details are important, but then not get lost in the details of it.
Thank you, Mayor. Following up on Councilmember Hinojosa's, I think we have time till the first applicant to a city, right? I mean, we can formalize and finalize all the rules before we grant the first permission or CO to any business. We don't want to wait that long, but.
Yeah. I think I'm hearing thumbs up from everybody on this one. Don, you were pretty quiet.
This is on the alcohol,
Yeah.
whatever you decide. I don't see it up there, so I don't.
It is, this, I had to get this ES so we can be ready for tonight,
Okay.
before we have this discussion.
Okay,
So just to give everybody a
but I
little
thought
bit.
that was the intent of the district, right?
What's that?
I thought the alcohol thing was the intent of the district.
Well, that's the majority of it.
Okay, I'm fine.
So just to give you guys a heads up, I did have a chance last Monday to host Senator Parker here. He was touring McLaren, and I hijacked him and took him in my car and showed him Old Town and kind of gave him an idea of what we were talking about. He said he was supportive and would move it forward if it needs to go before the Senate. So I think we've got his support on it, which is a good thing. He got to sit in one,
Oh, there you
And Representative Hernandez Garcia is already
and she
on
has
board.
already stated her support as well.
Gotcha.
Correct, and our legislative consultant, so Jennifer is working with
Jennifer,
him,
yeah.
after every single meeting, she goes back and updates him as well.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay,
So the next is the name. So in reviewing the special legislation districts that really have the same purpose as what is provided, which is entertainment, tourism, recreation, and/or the arts. There is a commonality between the names, so management district, which typically emphasizes government coordination, activation, and programming. Improvement districts are associated with infrastructure, maintenance, and beautification activities. And entertainment language is incorporated when a destination activity or visitor serving areas are included within the district purpose. Based on the naming conventions identified in the existing legislation, staff developed several illustrative naming examples. These examples are not intended to demonstrate how district names are commonly structured. However, they are just recommendations for what this could be called. At this time, I would welcome discussion and direction regarding the name and the identity of the district.
It's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Ramesh?
Mayor, thank you. Quick question, Callie. Does it really matter, let's say we decide to go and name it Entertainment District. Does it prevent us from doing any infrastructure work there?
It doesn't, so of the ones that are already existing, which potentially could be used as examples later on, these are the naming conventions. So typically they were either management district or improvement district. Entertainment is in there just really as, hey, here's kind of the purpose of it.
Kevin?
Old Town Entertainment District, next.
I
Anybody?
like that because it conveys a little bit more of why we're doing it, and
Yes.
what we're intending by it.
Right.
I don't think anyone's gonna come party at the Old Town Management District. It just doesn't convey the right vibe.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue.
Just really quickly, I think Entertainment District encapsulates what we're doing down there with the art center, with the programming that is down there, and I, say it tongue in cheek, let's just, next, right? But I think it really, that's what we're trying to do down there. We're trying to make a fun, inviting place for people to, be entertained, have a good time, enjoy some social life and stuff. So I think it's simple, it's easy to encapsulate it, boom.
Yeah, these are just, once one does it, they all tend to follow, and this was really in the category of the options.
Next slide.
Okay. So next would be the governance.
Oh, no, I'm gonna just say,
What's that?
I didn't mean to.
did we get agreement? Did that-
Yeah.
Downtown
we-
Entertainment
we've
District.
got-
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it over here.
I'm sorry.
Wait,
There were
We
several thumbs up.
had 5 of the 6 thumbs up.
Okay.
And I like we can call it OTED.
Yeah.
Wait, what did, okay,
So we had, I had nods and thumbs up from 5 of the 6 of
Okay.
you.
OTED, is that what we?
OTED.
Because it's Irish in nature, right?
Yeah, so Old Town Entertainment.
Okay. Take that, I just heard you say you needed to have something else to remember.
There you go, that's simple.
Okay.
The next policy consideration is governance structure. So again, reviewing all the existing special district legislation that is in some of the same arena is what we're trying to pursue. These are really the board compositions that existed. So a city council board is just the city council, so the entire district board would just be the city council. Another is a council appointed board, so that would be a board that is made up of individuals appointed by council. A hybrid board combines the elected officials with appointed community or business representatives. And then there are districts existing that do have a temporary council board, so the legislation says the board is going to be this council until this time and or this decision, and then that temporary board picks the final board.
Mark?
At what point do we have to make the decision on the type of board?
In this enabling framework, so.
Enabling framework?
Yes.
Okay.
but we can, I'm sorry. Can that change?
So some district legislation has basically an enabling provision that says, should council ever want this to change, it would go through a majority vote of the council. So we can include that provision. Some have gotten really detailed in terms of like the board cannot exceed 32 members or whatever the case is, but we can put that mechanism in.
Okay, thank you.
Ramesh?
Thank you, Mayor. I think in the interest of benefit of fast execution, I'm in favor of temporary council board. So maybe the deciding point would be once the our law is passed in our favor and we establish, then we can say we'll establish the whatever we decide we want
So
to.
I will clarify, if we do a temporary board, we still have to pick another board to come in with it. You have to do both at the same time.
I see. Yeah. In that case, I'll say.
And just as, so Part of the strategy provided by the legislative consultants was to include a business representative and a residential representative. That makes it a lot more palatable at the state level, so really strengthens your representation.
Yeah, I'm good, man. I would go with temporary followed by hybrid.
All right, so I've got Mark and then Jim and then Kevin. So Mark?
I would rather see a hybrid board, just because I think it's important that we get input from our local businesses, especially ones that are located down there, and in the future would be located there. And then also having some community appointed members. And of course us and staff liaison.
All right, Jim?
Yeah, well, I think though, if we're looking at having a reinvestment of sales tax back into the district, there's no other commissioner board that I'm aware of that has the authority to spend tax revenue. So I would want it to be a city council board. If we went to a hybrid, I'd rather do something like an advisory council that would, or, you know, some kind of ex officio members of the board that would sit on the board, attend the meetings. We'd get the input from the residents and business, which I do think is a good idea and important. But I wouldn't have spending authority for tax dollars invested in anyone that's not on council, personally.
So Jim, I'm gonna ask a question to Callie on your behalf. So
Ask
did-
away, man.
So is that the way that this would work? The district would have spending authority? Wouldn't that still have to come back to the council?
So it could be a budgeting strategy in terms of the sales tax that's generated in the district can turn around and be put back into activation programming. So that was a discussion that happened the last time in terms of like the events that happened down there, and that the maintenance, the regular kind of operations would still remain with the city.
Yeah,
And it
like
could be-
infrastructure, of the streets and all that.
Yes.
There's still gonna be.
Or the temporary, so if you put in temporary board, which could be council at first, then that could be the bylaws to where any spending decision does have to be finally approved by council. So it could be a recommendation of this board that then has to go through council.
That'd be like the CRDC is currently
Yeah,
functioning.
yeah. I mean, I just think ultimately it's still gotta be the elected officials making the authority regarding dispensation of any tax revenue.
Kevin?
You actually said something I was gonna touch on. I would like to see it be a temporary council board and then move to a structure similar to the CRDC board where we have a combination of council members. Yeah, but I definitely wanna make sure that we've got some representation from business down there, some citizens of that district, you know, residents that live there. So I would love to see us go something like that with final spending authority remaining with the city council, so.
And I guess you wouldn't have to stay at the 7 members if you wanted to do that. You could make it larger.
Yeah, and again, that could be that provision of should this board composition change, here's a mechanism to do it.
Okay, so we've got a couple of different opinions here. We've got, I heard one starting out with a temporary council going to hybrid. I heard one starting out with a you were promoting this, a council only.
Or ultimate council authority.
Well,
Either way accomplishes my goal.
Okay, well,
I mean, which would mean that what he was proposing would be.
so, and I heard Kevin say, a temporary council board transitioning to a hybrid board that would be set up like the CRDC,
Structured similarly.
where the council has ultimate financial responsibility.
I'll do what Kevin did.
Yeah, I can.
I like that.
Guys, thanks.
Genius.
Yeah.
Don?
I think you stated it there at the end, the hybrid board, do we have to decide the composition of the hybrid board today?
Yes, so
Oh, we
it
do.
keeps coming. It keeps going. So eventually, this is what we're gonna be deciding today. So,
okay.
this is just a sample of this, so it's gonna be who's on the board,
Got
the terms,
Okay, so this does,
and the.
originally I was thinking hybrid because I thought we had some flexibility to
I thought so too.
evolve it as we
Yeah.
saw fit, but
So
it sounds like we don't
well, yeah,
have
so we
that.
can put the mechanism in the legislation that says, should this board composition want to be changed? That is pretty common in these. So it gives a mechanism of council can approve a board composition change by the majority or something of that nature.
Well, I'm probably in favor of a heavier city council board initially, and then if we need to evolve it, I mean, I can see that, but I don't know what mechanism that is to do that, but
Is that what?
just a hybrid that has those those parameters, I guess.
Yeah, I think we can accomplish to do a temporary board for either a period of time or until the council decides differently. And it can be a hybrid with, I would qualify it and say it would have to be a resident area, have to be a business located in the area. We can add some,
I didn't think of that, a business owner that's not a resident, that wouldn't be a
Right.
good mix, would it?
well, some of them have business owners that, you know, especially if they're big stakeholders and they own the event center that's the jewel there or have an interest in that, they a lot of times sit at the table because it can affect their investment, so. It's not uncommon.
So do we?
Or someone with an expertise, you could also define it by someone with a finance background, someone with a restaurant background that's a resident.
So you need us to give you,
Yes, so it would be a temporary board and then picking one of the board compositions and then including the mechanism in which that can be changed. So you're not locking it in, just all the legislation has the board composition put in, but like I said, a majority of them have the mechanism to change it because things evolve, councils evolves. Really, this goes until forever, until future council decides to dissolve it.
But you said that we can write it to where, like, let's say we throw this out, like, the sitting, members of the city council and mayor make up the initial board.
Right.
And then, an example, 2 years, 3 years in the future, whatever that is, then,
Or the council may change the composition of the board of directors by adopting an ordinance.
yeah, and so at that point, could we then decide what the hybrid board looks like? And that's what I'm getting to, is maybe we don't need to decide what the hybrid
Yes.
board is made of
Yes.
tonight, but with the understanding that we need to get this district off the ground.
We'll give you a hybrid option.
And, exactly, and then we can go back and we can add the resident piece, we can add the business, representation piece. But we have the future flexibility to do
You
that.
just have to adopt it by ordinance, will be the only limitation. It may or may not include all of the council, it may or may not include some of the council. We'll leave that option up.
I would prefer to have that flexibility.
Mark?
I mean, I do like the suggestion up there, no offense, Mayor. I don't think the mayor should be on there. I think there should be two odd place council members because there's 1, 3, 5, and 7, 2, 4, and 6. So I think it should be 2 odd and 1 even, and no mayor. Sorry.
Well, you could do 9 as the initial, include all of the elected officials, and then add 1, I don't want to say staff member, Michael choking me out, but there could be a representative, another community representative or a resident. And the council may change the composition and qualifications is the word I would use, of all of the board members by ordinance adopted by a majority of the council. Or a supermajority could be
Can I ask Mark a question?
5 out of 7, whatever.
Yes.
Is there, not trying to nitpick or anything, but like, is there a specific reason why mayor, and I know I'm pointing here, but like just the position of mayor not being?
Yeah.
Well, I'm assuming all these people would have voting power. And our mayor does not have voting power.
I was just curious as to, and I understand we need an odd number, but just,
Yeah.
I definitely understand that piece of it, but I just wanted to kind of understand what your thought process was.
Well, I currently am on the CRDC and I vote there. But you've got to remember, it comes back to the council where I don't get a vote. And this would be the same thing. So
Yeah.
I'd actually counter you. I think being on the CRDC adds some value. I really do like having the council members be part of this board, whether, and I'm not looking to attend another meeting, but I think it's appropriate, my opinion. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, sir. I would, in looking at this, having been through the interviews for boards and commissions, I would suggest we make it more like one business and/or resident appointed director for the 2 slots, because there could be times when we have a couple residents show up to, you know, to sit, and no one in the business is interested, and then, you know, likewise. So I wouldn't tie our hands, where if we can't get a resident, then we don't have a full board.
May.
Yeah, but to be clear, we don't have to decide this tonight. If we write the language, I know we're just kind of spitballing a little bit, but
Let me ask you this, if, the only thing that I would think is, the council by ordinance shall establish the qualifications of the members of the board.
That sounds broad enough, yeah.
Is that broad enough for you? And so that way you could take someone outside the city if, you know, if the Addlestons decided they wanted to build an arena here, they want to be on the board, and make.
you're just trying to. You're
hurt.
saying Old
Yeah,
Town's
I'm
our
sorry.
Valley View? Is that-
So I'm
Then we
just
should have
saying.
pitched the stars, I do.
Where's the jam?
I'm in on the story.
I know.
All right.
You just made my commute awful.
Yeah, no, I think broad is good.
So the decision I heard was establish a temporary board with a mechanism to, through ordinance, amend it later on.
Yep.
So finally is the geographic boundaries. This is the original map that you have seen. This is the map of the boundaries that were requested. So going back here, areas 1, 5, 4, and the red area. So the blue and the red area are now the yellow area combined. And then proposing here, areas 1 and 2 include property north of West Bethel and Freeport. Area 3 expands the district southwest beyond the original boundaries that were discussed. Area 4 is property west of Freeport, and Area 5 is essentially northwest of Part 8. And so really the decisions are, do you want to include all of them, leave some out? What are the geographic boundaries that you would like for this district?
Ramesh?
Thank you, Mayor. Again, my take is going back to how we started today. Let's keep it as broad as we can, and then later the city council can restrict if needed. We don't want to go back to the legislature to expand anything, so I am in favor of this entire neighborhood.
So, I wasn't here for this meeting, but why wasn't 4 expanded westward?
I thought it was gonna be
I thought it went
expanded.
all the way to Hard 8 and to,
No, on past Heartache.
yeah.
That's
Yeah,
west,
the one
that's
across the
west
street.
of Freeport.
Yeah, the yellow,
Was that red?
Heart 8 is in the northwest
Oh, I'm
corner of
sorry.
that yellow.
I completely misread that map. I'm sorry. Never mind.
Kevin?
Yeah.
The only thing I might suggest is, in the yellow area, we've got the senior center and the service center. I wonder if we push that just a little bit further east and maybe not quite get the neighborhood, but just that land that's kind of right there. Just to, again, to kind of future-proof and make, I know that's available land right there. It could be something that could be incorporated into future design, like with the forest and, the trees and stuff right there, just to be on the safe side. Is that Park Road, east of the senior, is that what it is?
It is.
So maybe using that as some sort of boundary line or something like that, so, but again.
The Grapevine Springs area, what do you?
It's kind of in that Grapevine Springs area, but I don't know if we just bring that down to the railroad tracks or what, but just getting a little bit more of that in there.
Jim?
Thank you. So what are the ramifications of having like 4 and 5 in the entertainment district that allows special event alcohol? If you own one of those warehouses and you wanted to start operating a party place, and we said no, is that a taking? Because we've already authorized it.
As long as the other uses under the land use regulations, no, they can use it for something else. It's just available, doesn't mean you are obligated, doesn't create a use right. You would still have to have, the zoning to support that use. This is only regulations as it relates to, of course, we can write that into that
Well, what-
special zoning district that encompasses all the entertainment, which is probably what you want to do if it does pass.
I mean, do we really want the senior center and all that in a zone for entertainment and
Senior
a
center,
liquor
probably.
district? I mean,
That's policy issues, sir.
I know. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about just going too far afield with the boundaries.
Mayor Pro Tem, I will tell you that the seniors do like a good party.
Yeah, I know, I'm one of them.
And remember, you would still have the authority and the ability to regulate those boundaries if they were approved.
Yeah, I mean, not once they're zoned.
Well, if there's zoning component, if you have a special zoning district or adopt special zoning rules, because the idea is to ask that for the legislation, that we could establish different rules with different obligations, we would not have to follow the enabling statute in Texas. So now you've got.
But-
Now,
but
having
you're
said that, I
throwing-
think we need to be a tad bit careful, to your point, that
Yeah, because we're
Taking
throwing
someone's
everything from
property.
the senior center to light industrial
Yeah.
to Old Town into the same zoning district. I mean, I don't know, it
Right.
doesn't seem real wise to me.
you don't have to, you just want the ability to. So you could allow the base zoning that's there now to govern the use of that property.
Yeah, I guess that's my problem. I don't know that I want the ability to.
You don't want the temptation.
I don't know that I want to do it. I'm just not sure of the full ramifications of lumping all that together into one alcohol district.
What if we wrote the legislation to have sub-districts?
If you did what?
Like, I don't want to complicate it, but you could have the yellow area have one set of rules, and 4 and 5, and an expanded yellow, the senior center have special rules, call it 6.
What if we had one in the yellow in the, like, an initial area, whatever you want to call it? All the rest is in it, but then they've got to like come back and get authority to actually have an active entertainment district there or something. I'm just worried about, we've already got one place in town where they're running road parties with, 1,000 people working out of strip retail center. And, you've got some big warehouses out there that could be used for the exact same thing.
I've been to some of those. When I was much younger, they used to do that down in Deep Ellum all the time with all those buildings before they converted them.
Yeah.
And they were after hours. That's why I quit drinking.
Okay. Don, I think you had your hand up.
Well, a little bit along the same lines, I was concerned about the neighborhood in the very middle of this whole district, we're encompassing in space 1, that's a neighborhood, right? So we're grabbing all those houses that were not originally in, that I had a similar concern. Is there a problem grabbing those houses, making them part of the district?
So we can
Doesn't
include
change it.
exclusions on residential property if we would like
You
to.
could, okay, that's fine
We can gerrymander this.
then. Okay.
Brianna?
So I'm kind of with Jim on this. Like, I just want to be mindful of what we're doing because we can still have events at the senior center, right? So I don't know what else this does for us. We can still do the sip and stroll. We can still walk around with alcohol. We've had events at the senior center because it's also a community center. So, I mean, I want it to be broad enough, but I also don't wanna, I guess I don't see the need to bring in the senior center to it, because I'm trying to figure out what we're not allowed to do if we don't bring it in. Right, so that we're not already able to do, that's one. And then the other one is, with I guess with the industrial area, I'm thinking about, what do they call it, like, people doing those, I guess they could now do it legally if they had like raid parties or whatever they do in their warehouse, I don't know, I mean, I'm just trying to think of, what are we opening ourselves up to that is outside the scope of what we were intending for Old Town?
Yeah.
But yet, still thinking about increasing the boundaries because we've talked about, opening up the boundaries. So I guess, Jim, I'm aligned with you.
Mark?
But the district is separate from the zoning, correct, Bob?
Yes.
Yes.
Unless we
Okay.
write enabling legislation, we have special zoning considerations, so
So you couldn't turn a warehouse into
A bar,
a rave
safe
place.
place, yeah.
I mean, it'd be awesome, but I don't think,
it depends on how we write the
not for me.
regulations. And so.
Because we could exclude residential and.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
I mean, this is just about the future.
Yeah, but,
Kevin.
okay, go ahead.
So, in my thought about expanding and we are in a period of Coppell where redevelopment is happening on a regular basis. Something that we're looking at as residential now may not be residential in 30 years. I would not want to handcuff a future council on a decision because that has been now carved out of this entertainment district. Again, kind of the point, the zoning will still be in place, but it provides the overlay on top for future councils to have the ability to maybe, repurpose a warehouse into a distillery or something like that. So I want to be able to preserve that and provide maximum flexibility to a future council, without putting too many carve-outs or gerrymander. I mean, it's not like we're gonna approve this entertainment district and, then start bulldozing houses. That's just not real. We're not gonna do that, right? But, so I wanna just make sure that we maintain that. And just kind of my point of expanding the yellow district to the east a little bit was, look, we've got developable land right there. What if somebody comes in and says, I wanna put in something there and now we can do that because that land is included in the district. So I just put it over to Park Road just because I like straight lines. And I thought that would be a nice boxy line there. So there we go.
I think Ramesh was first.
Mayor Prodem had his hand.
Go ahead, big guy, I just got done talking.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I guess this question is for Bob. When we establish, let's say, that Block 1 as an entertainment district, will that have any impact to the property taxes of residents living there?
Not unless it changes the value of the property. I don't know if it will or won't, I'm not an appraiser.
But don't look at me.
I mean, it's not, from a legal standpoint, it would not cause any problem, but it would affect maybe value of where it's located. It may make it more valuable. I mean, the most valuable property in New Orleans is in the Cary View, which we all call the French Quarter. I wouldn't want to live there, but
Which
somebody.
goes to my question, yeah.
Jim?
So, like in one with the neighborhood, I don't know how I would feel if I owned a home there and found out that now I was included into an entertainment district. Is that gonna affect my ability to sell my home? If someone's thinking, well, that's gonna end up having a bar in it across the street, I don't wanna buy that house. I mean, so yeah, I do think it can have an impact on the property values, on the saleability of the homes and stuff like that. I just, and it's hard to really tell whether it will or how extensive that might be, but you know, we're still, even if it's secondary to the zoning, or subordinate to zoning, we're still putting an overlay on this property. That this is planned or
Yeah, it's-
allowed to
the
be an
nuisance
entertainment
is
district.
moving to the residents, to your point.
So, I don't know.
So we could either draw the geographic boundaries to where the residential is excluded totally, or we could keep it in there and exclude residential in the
Right.
enabling. So the boundary's still there, but someday should that not be residential, then it could change.
Kevin?
I just kind of go back to the survey results that we saw from a couple of years ago, that the overwhelming results on that survey said that they were sold an idea of entertainment and nightlife, and there was an overwhelming majority on that, and it wasn't delivered to them. And so that's kind of been my driving force on this, is that this is an opportunity for us to bring something that was not presented when they were originally, going in and developing the neighborhood. So I still think we need to keep it as broad as possible.
Okay, we've got 6 minutes till 7:30, and we do want to start council at 7:30, so Ramesh?
My closing thought on that, responding to Councilmember Neville's, I'm in complete alignment with what you're saying for the area shaded in yellow. That box in green that has a few residential homes, I don't know if they signed up for that entertainment district when they bought the homes. I don't know, maybe I need to validate that. So, but I think if we carve them out for now, we can move forward and then we can come back and address it later.
What if you just leave it now and just say, provide by ordinance restrictions regarding residential property within the area by ordinance? And then that way you can have this, here's the area, and so I think you can adopt reasonable regulations to adopt the different base uses of businesses or residences within the district.
Yeah.
So if you carved out now, and then that owner decided to sell to a business, you would have to go back to the legislature. And Bob's is a much more,
Okay.
I,
Yeah, just, in listening, you have another layer that has nothing to do with the district, because you're getting ready to update your comprehensive land use plan. So if you, let's just say you adopt this as is, you're going to go through a decision-making process over the next at least 12 months, with a lot of citizen input, that is going to designate land uses. And so it would be possible in your district to kind of, I'm going to use Mark as an example, when we were going through the mixed use discussion, it would be possible to write language in the comprehensive land use plan that in the entertainment district, these properties are designated residential. So if something were to the concerns for the residents, so they have the district that have the residential language in it, if that's what you choose to do. You would have a comprehensive land use plan that would say it is designated residential, which, again, I'm gonna use Mark as the example, because that was something that was important for him when we were talking about density. And then you'll have the zoning ordinance. So there's gonna be 3 layers that could be in place, depending on what direction that you go in. But you are, for sure, you are gonna have a comprehensive land use plan coming to you, and for sure, you're gonna be having an update to the zoning ordinances, because they'll have to be aligned with the new comprehensive land use plan.
For better or for worse, they're gonna, whether you live next to the district or you're in it, I don't care, the effects are the same. It would only be if it was redeveloped, would end up being something other than residence, in my opinion, but because of what, we'd have to change the zoning.
yes, Mark?
And to Mike's point, the comprehensive land use plan, that changes periodically too. I mean, we're talking 10 years out, 20 years out, 30 years out, councils can change that.
Right.
But if we get this created, then it gives us that flexibility.
Yeah, the comp plan that was adopted in the late 2007 or 8, you came on the council in the late teens, right? And there was a change with citizen input to that language, which then affected, right, the whole thing. So there are mechanisms in place.
Don?
How did we stop at just these parameters? Why don't we expand it even bigger? I mean, why do we
This
do
was-
5 but not these other by next to 4 or the little under the curve? Under the curve?
You're like, why is it such a messy?
Okay.
I'm just,
This
Okay.
was just interpretation of what we heard from the
Well, this
last
is what
work
we've heard
session.
so
That is
far.
correct.
Yeah.
Provided a visual.
You're looking for like something that's a little neater,
Okay.
a little.
We can come back and discuss this after the council meeting. Unless somebody's got a,
Other than, there's this piece, which I know has brought up a lot of conversation, what other parts do you need input
This is
from
the
us?
last one, so y'all have answered that.
Oh,
yeah, we just
all
automated
keep this
this.
across
The
the finish
naming
line.
and boards,
Let's
and
go.
this is the last one.
I'm good with, as shown, without carve-outs,
without what?
without any residential carve-out, so as is.
Knowing that we can make changes later along the way, I'll go with this.
Doctor, no.
I think we've got a piece of undeveloped land that I really think that we should consider. Just that east,
By the senior center.
by the senior center.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we turn the senior center to a frat house, I wanna be very clear about that, but, I think it's important that, that we consider that is a piece of property that could be developed, into something that fits what we're looking for in the entertainment district in the future. I would at least consider,
Expanding.
the wooded area.
Up to the park, to
You don't
the
wanna
senior
protect
center
the
road.
wooded area around the senior center.
Let's, for, again, future councils, we don't know, it may not be our decision.
Okay.
I'm okay with what Kevin said.
9 too.
So the geography as is, but add that basic grove of trees and.
The wooded area.
on that.
I'm not saying we're gonna mow down.
Yeah,
That's our land, right?
I've denied other things in that area, so I struggle with that, right? But at the same time, I hear what you're saying, right? And so you've got Jim at no. But I guess you just need 4. You need 4 people, right? So I'm good with what's up here. I wouldn't go past this for now.
Mark,
I'm with Kevin,
we got 4.
give the flexibility.
There you go.
I'm sorry.
And for
It's all good. I mean, I'm totally fine with it.
Valley, what we will do is we will now make it all one color,
Correct.
so
We'll
that
make it all
you
one
can
color.
see it, and.
I've denied
this is
every
based on your
development there.
instruction Unless we missed something.
Because the senior center
That might be wise.
likes that
Right.
area.
So we're gonna make sure,
So,
before we finalize that language.
Yes,
the
this will
map.
come back to you, so
Right.
this is not the
We don't
last
wanna
one.
handcuff.
So you're gonna have another
No, I hear you.
opportunity.
I'm
You're gonna have another
also like,
opportunity, But it will be based on
let's think
what
about
you
like even
just
Main
discussed.
Street. There
All
are
right.
very few places that stay open until 2.
So we will
Like,
defer item D,
I don't know, I
which is
just-
a discussion of
we need to all
renaming
line it
park
up.
facilities to a
But I'm
later
good with it.
meeting.
I'm good
For
with
2
it.
weeks?
Actually,
Dawn?
to July.
Oh,
There is not a second.
We don't have a
yes,
second meeting.
that's fine.
Is that okay?
I guess so. We should have done that first and done Old Town
Well,
later.
we can come back after the council
You
meeting.
wanna come back after this?
I can come back.
Wait,
down.
what are we coming after back to?
It's the non-park.
Discussion
naming.
renaming non-park facilities.
Oh, yeah, we'll come afterwards.
Okay,
All
let's do
right, we
that.
will recess from
You've had that on
work
your
session
list.
at 7:31.
I mean, I have a
And-
5 a.m. flight, but,
City council meeting.
well, at least.
Right there. Good afternoon, everybody. The time is 7:37 p.m. We're going to move into the regular session of the Coppell City Council. Just as a reminder, any persons wishing to speak during the citizens' appearance or the public hearings must sign the appropriate register located outside the council chambers and list your address. This evening, we are fortunate to have Parvin Izadi with the Allies Interfaith Group here to give our invocation, and then we'll recite the Pledge of Allegiance, so please remain standing. Thank you.
Good evening. I am honored to offer a prayer from the Baha'i Faith for wisdom, unity, and service to our community. Thank you for this opportunity. O God, my God, unite all peoples in thy love. and guide us to serve one another with pure hearts. May our hearts be illumined with the light of thy guidance, and may we be instruments of thy peace. O Lord, let thy spirit of fellowship and oneness descend upon all humanity. May the people of the earth recognize one another as members of one family and work together for peace and justice. Enable all people to turn toward one another with love, to be steadfast in unity, and to serve the common good with joyful hearts. O God, raise aloft the banner of the oneness of mankind. Establish the most great peace. O kind Father, confer thy blessings. Bestow thy gracious aid and confirmation upon this council. Bestow upon them wisdom in their deliberations, fairness in their judgments, and steadfastness in their service to all people. O Lord, confer upon them thy heavenly bounty, and render the outpourings of thy grace and favor, that they may be enabled by your powerful protection to discharge their duties with honesty and ability. Verily, thou art the all-powerful, the all-knowing, and the most compassionate. Abdul Baha. Amen.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I would like to ask that Sonia Ajani join me down front, please. All right, Item 5 are proclamations. Item A is presentation of a proclamation designating the week of August 23rd, 29th, 2026 as New Driver Safety Week. And whereas learning to drive is a major milestone for individuals of all ages, and research shows that newly licensed drivers are at a significantly higher risk of crashes during their first months on the road, and whereas motor vehicle crashes remain a leading cause of injury and death, particularly among young drivers, while inexperience, distraction, and lack of training affect new drivers of all ages, and whereas distracted driving, speeding, and impaired driving continue to be leading causes of crashes, and education and early safe driving habits can greatly reduce these risks for all new drivers. Now therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim August 23rd through 29th, 2026 as New Driver Safety Week in Coppell, Texas, and encourage all residents to support and promote safe driving habits among new drivers of all ages, helping to create safer roadways for everyone. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Coppell to be affixed this 9th day of June, 2026. So here's the proclamation.
Get a photo here.
Are they photo bombing?
Everybody's behaving, right? Yeah. Okay. All right. In 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna get one just of y'all here. 3. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Thanks, y'all.
Did you have something you would like to say to us?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sonia Ajani, and I know my banner here says Miss Denton, but before I ever started doing pageants and I was crowned Miss Denton, I was just a Coppell girl. I graduated from Coppell High School, and on August 23rd of 2022, I got into a car crash right here on Parkway and Denton Tap. It changed my life dramatically and led me to lead and educate others about the impacts of distracted driving, aggressive driving, and promote safe driving. So I know many of us are probably drivers and you think new driver safety, it does not impact you. But let me tell you, new drivers are looking for examples on the road, leaders in the driver's seat. So this does impact you. I encourage you the next time you get in the driver's seat to be a good example of what it means to be a good driver, because 40,000 Americans die every year in car crashes, and it is the leading cause of preventable deaths for teens. So the next time that you think of picking your phone up, checking a text while you're driving, just think about the 40,000 Americans who don't get to go on road trips every year, who don't get to drive to see their grandparents and their families every year, and think about the leader you can be in the car. Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think we had a couple of comments. Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you. Thank you so much for driving this effort, no pun intended, but just for your passion around it. This is so important. I have a fairly new driver at home, and I worry about her every single time that she leaves. And you're right, it's every single person's responsibility that's out on the roads to keep everybody safe. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for bringing forward this opportunity to have a proclamation, and keep sharing your message. It's truly impactful.
Councilmember Nevels.
Yes, thank you so much for visiting with us today and sharing that powerful message. I agree with Councilmember Hino Smith. My daughter will be 16 in 6 days, and she just completed her driving course today, and so we got like 3 hours of night driving left, and then we're done, right? But the message really hits home, for me, just personally, and so in watching and looking through her eyes as a new driver, very recently. Really brings the message home. So thank you. Please continue to share your message with municipalities, not just here in Coppell. Love that you're a graduate of Coppell High School. Me too. So great job. But please share the message throughout the Metroplex and as far as you can take it, because it's incredibly important. So thank you so much for being here today.
So thank you very much for being here. You can remind Council Nevels that he did not wear the sash when he went to UNT. So just a little hint there. Huh? Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Sorry. Item B is a presentation of a proclamation designating the month of July 2026 as Park and Recreation Month, and asking Megan Bogine to come down, and friends. Oh, there we go. We didn't have a chance to. All right, whereas parks and recreation programs are an integral part of communities throughout the country, including Coppell, and whereas parks and recreation promote health and wellness, encourages physical activities by providing space for popular sports, hiking trails, swimming pools, and many other activities designed to promote active lifestyles. And whereas our parks and recreation are vitally important to establishing and maintaining quality of life in our communities, ensuring the health of all citizens and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of a community and region. And whereas parks and recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, and the attraction and retention of businesses and crime reduction. And whereas our parks and natural areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community and provide a place for people to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. And whereas the U.S. House of Representatives has designated July as Park and Recreation Month. Now therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim the month of July as Park and Recreation Month in the City of Coppell, and I encourage all citizens to celebrate by getting active outdoors, connecting with nature, visiting one of Coppell's many parks or recreational facilities, and creating memories with family and friends. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Coppell to be affixed this 9th day of June, 2026. So thank you very much and congratulations.
We need to squeeze in just a little bit more, everybody. Perfect. A little more. Perfect. Perfect. Okay, great. Everybody looks great. We're all friends, right? All right. Okay, this is about as, okay, this is it. Everybody ready? And 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to zoom in just a little bit on you two here. Big smiles. Trinity, what are you doing? All right, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Thank you.
Were you giving bad signs behind me? No, sir. Yeah, okay. Did you have a little something you would like to say?
Yes, thank you so much, Mayor and Council, for all of your support, not just during Park and Recreation Month, but throughout the year with all of our activities, programs, and events we have where we just want to bring joy and memorable experiences to the community. We want to continue that goal as we have several soccer-themed events, or not just events, but soccer-themed programs and activities throughout the parks and facilities in the month of June and July. Where we're kind of combining Park and Recreation Month with the World Cup being held in our very backyard. And then we also are going to have a Park and Recreation Month celebration in Old Town Coppell on July 14th from 9 to 11 a.m. And as well as several different programs and activities throughout all of our community experiences facilities in the month of July. And of course, speaking of celebrations, we hope to see you all on Independence Day celebrating America's 250th anniversary at Celebrate Coppell Parade Down Parkway at 9 a.m. and Celebrate Coppell Party in the Park from 6 to 10:30 p.m. We're going to have live music, food trucks, and of course, fireworks to celebrate 250 years of independence.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to convey my thanks to the entire Parks and Rec team as well as the board that's supporting them. I believe in my case, Parks and Rec the facility that I use the most. I mean, I'm not counting water and roads, those are essentials. But I enjoy your services the most, and I'm sure most residents are like me. So thank you for all the wonderful things that you do. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Item C is a proclamation designating Saturday, May 16, 2026 as Ansley Bramer Day, and I'd ask Ainsley to come down, please. I'm sorry, I'm going to get your name wrong no matter what I do. It's nice to meet you. Whereas the City of Coppell proudly recognizes Ainsley Bramer, a Coppell resident and outstanding student athlete at Coppell High School, whose exceptional dedication, discipline, and achievement led to her capturing the gold medal in the shot put event at the University Interscholastic League Track and Field State Championships on May 16, 2026. And whereas Ansley recorded a championship throw of 45 feet, 0.75 inches on her fifth of her 6 attempts, surpassing the silver medal performance by 7¼ inches and demonstrating extraordinary skill, dedication, and competitive excellence. And whereas Ainsley, who signed with the University of Texas in November, previously earned a 4th place finish at the 2025 state championships, and her 2026 state title marks the first gold medal earned by a Coppell athlete at a UIL track and field state championship since 2023. Whereas through her hard work, perseverance, sportsmanship, and commitment to excellence, Ainsley Bramer has brought great pride, honor, and recognition to Coppell High School and the City of Coppell, while serving as an inspiration to students, athletes, and residents throughout the community. Now therefore, I, Wes Mays, Mayor of the City of Coppell, do hereby proclaim Saturday, May 16, 2026 as Ansley Bramer Day in the City of Coppell and encourage all citizens to join the Mayor and City Council in congratulating her on her outstanding achievement and wishing her continued success in all future endeavors. In witness thereof, I've set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Coppell to be affixed this 9th day of June, 2026. Congratulations.
Do you have any family with you here that you'd like to be in the photo? Yeah? Come on.
What's that? Hi, glad to meet you. Congratulations. Hi, congratulations. All right, so for photo, let's get in close.
Yeah, make it work. Everybody good? Fantastic. Good to know. All right, group photo here in 3, 2, 1. And then just of this crew up front. 3, 2, 1. Fantastic. Thank you.
Did you have anything you would like to say to us?
I didn't prepare anything, but it wouldn't have been possible without my family and my amazing coaches. So thanks.
Hang on. So I'm guessing that Councilmember Nevels might have something here to say.
So I just want to say congratulations. As a graduate of Coppell High School, incredibly proud to be able to recognize our any of our students that really show up and show out to represent Coppell. Well, amazing job on that. I just want to say congratulations. And I love what what was said about you being an inspiration for other students. Like it or not, people are going to look up to you now because you're a state champ. So congratulations. It's absolutely incredible. Also, I want to point out, you should ask the mayor where he went to school and where you are going to school and see if there's any conflict there. So that's all I'll say about that.
I was very careful not to bring that one up, Councilmember Nevels. Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you. This one's personal because I've known Ainsley since she was probably 3 years old. And so I've seen her grow up, and I can't tell you how proud I am of you. I have to write down my comments because I'm super proud of you. So Ainsley, I'm super excited to celebrate you. You're a true champion. Winning the state title is a testament to your countless hours of discipline, grit, and sacrifice you've poured into this sport. Your performance at state wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass in focus and determination. We're incredibly proud to watch you take this next step towards the University of Texas, and the Longhorns are super lucky to have you. But as you know, success doesn't happen in a vacuum, and it takes personal dedication, but it's also fueled by unwavering support of your family. And so Mike and Erica, her parents, I know, have supported her through everything. Her little brother, I know, Ryan has been there. Her grandmother, who's here. Her big sister Grace, who's off in college. But it's a family affair, and then this entire community is your family. And so we're so proud of you. You're an inspiration for our community and for our school and for our students. You've set the bar high, and we can't wait to see what you do at UT. So, hook 'em.
Except for that last one. Councilmember Prem Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. Ainsley, congratulations, and I hope you'll join the select small crowd of Coppell graduates that go on to win an Olympic gold. So, all the best. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can go. Now.
Item number 6 is our citizens' appearance. Persons wishing to speak must sign the register and list their address. Presentations by individuals shall be limited to 3 minutes each, during which time the speakers must remain at the podium, face forward, and address only the mayor and city council. Persons signed up to speak will be called in the order that they signed up. In order to maintain an orderly and respectful meeting environment and to conduct the public meeting and business, speakers will adhere to the standards outlined in Ordinance 2025-1633. There will be no comments or deliberation from the city council due to the Texas Open Meetings Act. We do have one person that has signed up to speak tonight, and that's Ms. Kimberly Harrell.
Hello, Council and Mayor. It's a
Name and
pleasure-
address for the record, please.
Yes, I'm Kimberly Harold. I live at 104 Heather Glen Drive here in Coppell, Texas. I've been a resident of Coppell for 25 years. I want to talk to you, I was here about a year ago, I want to talk to you about the drainage problem that we're having on my road. If you're not familiar with Heather Glen Drive, here's Sandy Lake, there's Beltline, here's Heather Glen, here's Trader Joe's. We're the first road just behind Trader Joe's. The city of Coppell recently redid the sewer system on our road. We were hoping that they would also do the drainage system as well, and they did not. We were told that that was a separate project, and it would not be, the drainage problem on our street would not be fixed for another 2 to 3 years. I have video, and I also have photos of the horrible drainage problem. It's definitely a hazard. It's a hazard not for only the people that are living on the Coppell Road, in Coppell, but it's also a hazard for people living on Heather Glen Drive. So we're asking for your help. This is another picture, happy to share with y'all. It definitely looks like a river.
What I'd like to ask you to do is to share those with our city secretary, and she will be happy to distribute them to us after the meeting.
Okay, absolutely, I will. Would you like for me to conclude my conversations?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Oh, you're welcome to continue talking.
Oh, I thought you wanted me to
No,
stop.
no.
We're just looking for some. We're looking for some answers. We're looking to see if we can't get our roads done. Within the next few months would be great, and put us at the top of the list, because this is definitely a hazard for anybody that's driving down the road. So, but yeah, I had a video. I wish I could be able to show you it, but anyway, I'm unable to do that. But definitely need your help. We need guidance. We need to find out who we need to talk to try to get this project at the top of the city council and the city's. We would just like some help to get it quick, just as soon as possible. So anyway, I'll conclude that. I thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments this evening. Item number 7 is a consent agenda. The consent agenda is routine in nature and is generally enacted in a single motion. These items have been previously approved for the budget or past council actions. Any item may be pulled and considered separately. Full descriptions are available on the screen. This evening we do have agenda items 7A through 7D for consideration. Council, any questions? Or Mayor Pro Tem Walker?
Thank you, Mayor. I didn't want to pull it just in the interest of efficiency, but I wholeheartedly support your candidacy as president-elect of the Texas Municipal League. You're continuing a history that this city has provided leadership in statewide organizations for a long time. You've tirelessly served this community. You've put so much effort and energy and commitment into the job of mayor, and before that, member of the council, that I'm very proud to cast my vote in favor of item B of the consent agenda.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. I am doing that because I do strongly believe that our voice needs to be heard more down in Austin. And Texas Municipal League is one of the vehicles that we use to do that. And I just want to extend that out and for all to benefit the citizens of Coppell. So thank you very much for those nice words. Any other consent agenda items? Seeing none, I will accept a motion. Councilmember Prim Kumar.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to move to approve item number 7, from 7A to 7D.
Thank you. Seconded by Councilmember Hill. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Hill. None opposed. Motion carries.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 8 is consider adoption of an ordinance of the City of Coppell of the City of Texas authorizing the issuance of City of Coppell, Texas general obligation refunding bonds in one or more series, establishing sale parameters and providing for the security for and payment of said bonds. repealing ordinance number 2026-1646 and enacting other provisions related to this subject. Ms. Tien, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. As the Mayor has read, the purpose of this agenda item is to repeal the existing bond refunding parameters sales ordinance and approve a new ordinance with the parameters recommended by the city's financial advisor. The current parameters are set for a true interest cost not to exceed 2.75 and a debt service savings of at least 5%. The current parameters are very conservative and have not been attainable in the current market environment. Therefore, staff and the city's financial advisor is recommending that the ordinance that was passed be repealed and a new ordinance be approved. The new ordinance includes parameters with a true interest cost not to exceed 3.25 and a debt service savings of at least 3%. This item was discussed during work session, and we are happy to answer any further questions that you have. We are recommending approval of the new ordinance. Sorry.
Just in case we were wondering.
Yeah.
Thank you. Council, any questions for Ms. Tien? Councilmember Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor. Real quick, so the maximum is three and a quarter is what is being recommended, right? 3 1/4. Where are the bonds at today?
I'm going to bring Jason up to answer that for you.
Mayor and Council, Jason Hughes, Hilltop Securities. Today, estimate of around 3.45%.
Okay, so about 20 bips. Okay, they'd have to drop. Okay, just get an idea of how much they would have to drop. And the only difference in the new ordinance and the old ordinance is the maximum rate and the percentage of savings to be realized.
And the minimum savings, yes, sir.
So
correct.
it was 5% and 275 before, and now it's going to be 3 1/4 and 3% savings.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much. Council, any other questions? We don't do these refunding very often, but they're a very unique opportunity to save our citizens and the city money, future money, and very, very good opportunity here. Councilmember Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. I move to approve agenda item 8 as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second from Mayor Pro Tem? All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar Hill, none opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council. Item number 9 is a public hearing, so I will open the public hearing and consider approval of S1113R3SF7, St. Constantine School, Lot 1, Block A, Corporation of the Episcopal Diocese of Dallas, a special use permit revision to allow a private school with a maximum enrollment of 130 students to operate in the Church of the Apostle located at 322 South MacArthur Boulevard at the southeast corner of Starleaf and MacArthur at the request of Catherine Clayton of the St. Constantine School. Ms. Boswell.
Good evening, Mayor. Oopsie. Okay. So the St. Constantine School began operating as a private Christian school at the Church of the Apostles location in August of 2025. So this is their third campus, with the 2 other being in Houston and Pittsburgh. The school offers classes from pre-kindergarten 3 through 12th grade. Hours are Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., and they are looking to extend it possibly to 5 p.m. for aftercare services in the upcoming year. Enrollment for the first year has 69 students, where they were allowed up to 100, from 32 families. Not all students attend every day. They have 66 students that attend Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 39 students that come Tuesday, Thursday, and 3 that come kind of a la carte, depending on what's being provided. So the concerns that staff had initially with the original case were addressed with the traffic study and circulation plan. So the plan showed stacking internal to the site and not from Starleaf Street, and therefore would not conflict with River Chase Elementary. So the maximum vehicular queue is 36 vehicles, with up to 3 vehicles loading and unloading at a time with staff members present to assist. So there's school hours Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Classes offered, drop-off begins at 7:30. So year one pickup ends at 4, so this is the year they just finished. In year two, aftercare may run until 5. So since the school has been in operation, they have real-life observations. So this is some of the pictures that we've been given. They conducted a car line survey that showed a car line ranging from 2 to 17 cars, so roughly about half the maximum allowable by the vehicular queue of 36. All in all, staff is in support of the request and feels it is a good use of the space. We're just going to take a look at some other observations that were made. So here we have like 16 cars in line, and then a few minutes later it drops down to about 8. 12, 17, so it doesn't get higher than 17 in what was observed. We did also ask for some morning observations, and here you see basically one car in line. Oops. So this is a zoning change request. They are asking to go from 100 students to 130 students, which will allow them flexibility. We did mail out notices within 200 feet, additional notices within 800 feet as a courtesy. We received no responses. So the Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval of S1113R3-SF7, subject to the following. 1, that the private school be licensed and maintained in accordance with state law and provide instruction for pre-K 3 through 12th grade. And 2, that the student enrollment capacity under this special use permit not exceed 130 students. That is the end of my presentation, and the applicant is here as well to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you very much. Council, do you have any questions for Ms. Boswell? Mayor Pro Tem Walker.
Thank you, Mary. Mary, I was just wanting to make sure the special use permit with respect to 130 students, that's not anything they've hit yet, right? I mean, that's...
Correct. So this year they had 69 students.
Mm-hmm.
This just allows them, because this was their first year, allows them some flexibility so that if they have more kids that, you know, if it gets to 105, they don't have to turn kids away.
No, okay. And it doesn't sound like the initial concerns I had about parking have manifest. I mean, or the drive, the queue and all like that.
Correct. So the queue of 36, they've had maybe half of that.
Yeah, okay. Okay, good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. So probably following up on Mayor Pro Tem Walker, so the traffic pattern that we looked at is for around 60 so students. But yet, do we have any concern from the standpoint of it going up to 130?
So they've had, let's say 69, let's say 70 students. And typically, and Catherine can correspond with me, there's about 32 families. So it's not like 69 cars coming there. They're usually 2 or 3 kids per family that are coming. I think 3 kids that drive themselves because they're of age. So if we allow them to go up to 130, there's still about double that queuing size available. Gotcha. So 17, you still allow another 19.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? I see that Ms. Clayton is with us. Did you have something that you would like to address? Name and address, please.
Catherine Clayton, 2717 Vista Bluff Boulevard in Louisville. Thank you all, and Mary did a great job of summarizing. That's correct. We've had a lovely year with 69 students. Another feature of our school is that almost half of the students consider themselves homeschooled and come only for 2 or 3 days. That's another traffic, an aspect to the traffic that makes our queuing and any potential impact to MacArthur really negligible. So we feel very confident that we could increase our enrollment without any impact at all, because we are a very small operation and just not anywhere near the capacity that, from a traffic standpoint, that might be concerning. And we believe that we're an asset to the city, as we're an attractive education option. We've had several families move to Coppell for the school, and we draw families from all over the Metroplex.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Nevels.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you so much for being here with us today. Actually, you were just starting to touch on it, so I want a little bit of follow-up. So you said that you have some families that have moved to Coppell for the school. Do you have an idea of the makeup of people in that attend the school that live in Coppell versus not? And mainly the reason why I'm asking is for walkability to the school versus not adding extra traffic. Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
Yes, as far as I know, we don't have any families within walking distance. I think that's true. I could be wrong. This coming year, we have 7 families with a Coppell address currently. And 3 families I know 3 of those 7 have relocated to Coppell for the school.
Right, excellent. Thank you so much for that information.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick question. I was curious, so are you, with respect to this facility, are you at capacity at 130 students?
Actually, no, according to the occupancy limit, but we don't foresee need to, 130 will be sufficient for us in that building.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councilmember Hinojosa Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. From a parking perspective, do we have enough parking for students who are driving age?
Yeah, we actually don't have any
And
students
teachers
that
and all
drive themselves regularly, as far as I know. I think the number that Mary mentioned, we put it in our numbers last year when we were applying, just kind of looking at the number of high school students we have total. I think this past year we've had 11 or 9 high schoolers. So we estimated that if a few of them drove, that was could be a factor. So far this past year, none have driven regularly.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? Oh, Councilmember Nevels.
One follow-up question, and correct me, were you here last year presenting?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so I just wanted to make sure. So if I remember correctly from that conversation, you said the goal was to try to grow the base of the school and then move it to a different location. Is that still the ultimate goal?
Right, it would be impossible for us to continue to grow in this space. I mean, the building has limited classroom capacity.
Gotcha. And what is, if the asking for increased capacity to 130, what is the maximum capacity of the school that you feel that y'all could serve in that location?
Oh, in the location?
Yeah, in that location.
We wouldn't exceed 130 with the current facilities. So in reality, where we are right now, we have enrolled 97 students for the coming year. So if permission is granted, we have, I think right now, about between 5 and 10 students that are applicants who would probably come, and so we know that we would exceed that 100, the 100 limit that we're under right now. We don't currently have applicants that would cause us to reach 130. That was a number that we set just to give us leeway for the year, so that we don't have to turn anyone away. But anyway, so that's kind of, there's a leeway. We don't currently have a applicant pool that would be reaching 130.
The reason why I'm asking is that, if you told me that the building had a capacity of, let's say, or 260, right? Well, kind of to the questioning earlier, that might get us to the car limit, based on the trends that you have now. So I'm just trying to make sure that the capacity of the building isn't going to exceed, in the future. Like if we come back again next year and we want to add more and more, what point would we start running into that limit where we're concerned about traffic spilling into MacArthur as per to Mayor Pro Tem's concern from last year? So just trying to understand that that total picture. So you're saying that building won't reach that capacity
of students to have to create that concern.
Right. So our queue, according to the traffic study, is 36 cars within the property. Right now, we have 70 students, and the max we've ever observed, and that really only lasts for a few minutes as the line dissipates quickly, the max we've ever observed is 17. So even if we were to double that, we still would have excess capacity according to the traffic study, and the enrollment increase that we're requesting is not doubling our
Perfect. That's
number.
exactly what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and persons signed up to speak during the public hearing must sign the register and list your address. You'll be called to speak in the order you've registered. Public hearings are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. I do not believe we had anybody signed up to speak, so that will come back to the council for any other comments. Council? Seeing none, I will accept a motion. Councilmember Nevels.
Are we using new language today?
No, you can close the public hearing
Okay.
and approve it, and remember there's exceptions.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I move to close the public hearing and approve agenda item 9 as presented with exceptions.
Councilmember Carroll seconded. All in favor?
Walker, Hinojosa Smith, Carroll, Nevels, Prem Kumar, Hill, none opposed, motion carries.
Conditions.
Conditions.
I said the wrong word. Amend that to conditions.
Thank you very much. Item number 10 is the city manager reports with project updates and future agendas and direction from work session. Mr. Land.
Mayor, knowing we're going back for work session, just a few updates. The Bullock and Howell project continues to move forward. The contractor has completed the pour on Howell Drive and is currently pouring Bullock Drive. The Royal Lane reconstruction, the contractor has begun the utility installations. The service center, contractors working on the punch list items. Justice Center remodel, the brick is going up. Ceilings are being installed and exterior brick is underway. The parking lot shade structures are going up. Fire Station 3, the contractor has begun the site work. Utilities will start this week. And then just like to remind everyone that our Trails Master Plan public input meeting is going to occur on Wednesday, June 17th from 6 to 8 p.m. Tracy, what I don't have is the location of that on this. Do y'all know where it is? Is it here? I just stumped the staff. That's a new game we're going to play. So while they're working on that, I'll read this. WhatsApp. We've been asked for quite some time about getting the City of Coppell on WhatsApp. The City of Coppell is launching a WhatsApp channel and is a new way to keep residents informed and connected. It's a unique channel. As part of our commitment to meeting the community where you are, the channel provides a simple, one-way communication tool for receiving city news, updates, and important information through WhatsApp. The channel is designed to share information only and does not support direct messaging. If you have any questions about it, please contact us at info@coppelltx.gov. And when we do get an answer about where that location is, I will inform y'all for the meeting. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Item number 11 is Mayor and Council reports on recent and upcoming events. Just as a reminder, this is our only meeting in the month of June. So I've got several items to highlight.
It helps if I actually read the statement. It's the first sentence. Join Coppell Community Experience at the Senior and Community Center on Wednesday, June the 17th. So that's on me. I apologize for stumping the staff. And just as a reminder, that is on June the 17th from 6 to 8 at the Community Center.
You stumped yourself, sir?
Yes, I did. So I apologize.
That's all right. Continuing on, number 11, item 11. We have Parade Down Parkway. Our applications are still open for the Parade Down Parkway celebrating Independence Day. Coppell family, friends, businesses, sports teams, and other community groups are invited to be part of the parade fun by decorating a vehicle, a bicycle, or walking along the parade. There is no entry fee, but a parade application is required to participate. Applications must be submitted by Sunday, June 28th. The parade is on Saturday, July 4th, starting at 9 a.m. Celebrate Coppell. Gather with the community for an incredible evening as we celebrate America's 250th anniversary. Party in the Park on Saturday, July 4th from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. at Andrew Brown Park East. Come join us for live music, lawn games, festive photo opportunities, and a spectacular fireworks show. Celebrate Coppell is pedestrian friendly and walking is encouraged. Coppell will be celebrating the 36th anniversary of the signing of American with Disabilities Act by George Bush this July with 2 events. Celebrate Our Differences Storytime, July 8th at 10:15 at the Cosby Library. Join us for a story time focusing on learning and friends living with disabilities and how they navigate the world we all share. Friends living with a disability will be joining us for a show and share session, and all of your questions are encouraged. Tickets are available on a first-come, first-served basis at the front desk, 30 minutes prior to the start of the story time. And if I read it that George W. Bush was going to be there, I apologize, he will not be in attendance. We're just celebrating the act signed by him. Please join us for our Disability Empowerment Resource Fair, July 18th at 11 a.m. at the Coppell Senior and Community Center. And this is in partnership with the North Texas Disability Chamber. Learn from organizations, authors, and businesses in North Texas as we focus on innovations in health, education, employment, and accessibility. More information can be found on our Accessible Coppell webpage on the city website. Item number 12 is council committee reports concerning items of community involvement with no council action or deliberation permitted. Item A is report of the Dallas Regional Mobility Coalition. Councilmember Don Carroll.
Thank you, Mayor. Quite an eventful last 3 or 4 months in transportation in this region. Starting off, we had a couple of guests. We had Senator Paxton from Senate District 8 that came and talked to us in March, and then Representative Yvonne Davis from the State House District 111 came and talked to us, talking about what happened in the last ledge and what potentially is going to happen in the next one. A few facts. RTC, which is the Regional Transportation Council, is in the process of evaluating like 7,000 traffic signals throughout this region to determine which ones of these need to be upgraded, and then therefore trying to find the right funding for those in the future. So quite a undertaking going on there. And there has certainly been a lot going on with DART since we last talked, since we all got together for the fireside chat. And so a number of cities were looking to get out of DART through some negotiations, and there has to be some additional legislation that happens in the next legislative session, but 3 of those 6 cities decided that they would cancel their elections and stay in DART. The other 3 continued to hold their elections, 2 of which stayed in DART. 1, Highland Park, decided to get out, so they are in the process of getting out. So quite a change there. In the meantime, DART and their CEO have parted ways also since that time. So Nadine Lee is no longer CEO there, and they are looking for a new CEO at DART as the winds continue to change there. One thing that a lot of the cities are doing, Frisco is starting to do it, Plano is starting to do it, maybe even Irving, is continue to look at microtransit. And that is something that we have actually been doing in a very, very small scale for actually a number of years now, related to some of our West Side businesses. So I feel like we are, as I talk to more and more people, we are a little bit on the cutting edge, even though it's a very small scale, of looking into this gets the it identifies where the transportation needs to be and gets it there in a relatively cost-effective way. DCTA, who is actually who we partner with, is actually sort of a leader on data-driven microtransit versus fixed point transit. And they have done a great job evaluating the data that tells you where the routes ought to be. And then that's where you end up putting a fixed route when it gets to a certain size. So they are sort of a leader. I talked to Paul Christina, who is the CEO of DCTA, the other day, and he hopes to continue to have increase our relationship with them and see how we can expand things, especially now with the Silver Line coming through here. So that was all very encouraging. Talking about the state legislature, this next session, one of the challenges that we may have in the Senate is, in the past, there were only a couple of senators willing to stand up to lieutenant governor. Those 2 individuals are now gone, so that could be a challenge as we go into the next session as Patrick continues to concentrate power in his office. There were a couple of things Yvonne Davis mentioned I thought were very telling, and this is sometimes when at local level we look to the legislator to solve some of our problems. The problem with that idea is it's like going to mom and dad and trying to find a solution. Well, they may decide to do something completely different than what you actually wanted done to begin with. So, she was encouraging us to fix as many problems as we can in this region without going to the legislature, because you never know what you're going to get out of that. One side note, in 1980, we had about 2.75 million people in the Metroplex. We have just now crossed 9 million. So that you can see how the pressure on the system, infrastructure pressure, the transportation, water, whatever else, is going to continue to be there. One thing I would say we need to watch is there is a current transportation bill that is expiring at the end of September, and so in the U.S. House they have passed it out of the Transportation Committee, but it's called it's called the Build 250 Act. It actually has $580 million in it for the next 5 years, and actually highway funding goes up 8% from the current bill. However, transit and rail funding is down 20% from the last funding. So you can sort of see where the U.S. House is sort of focused, and it's more on highways, less on transit. There is $50 million in new bridge investment. We have aging bridges all around the country, and so that would certainly be a boost. So that's something to watch. It's come out of the House committee in Washington, D.C., and so we'll see where it goes from there. The last thing I will mention is we have autonomous vehicles that are off into the future. Texas actually has the most permissive framework set up so far from a regulation standpoint. And so we'll see where that goes. Along with that very permissive regulatory framework, however, is also a continued preemption on local authorities. And so it's all centralized at the state level, and it will limit what we can do at the local level, which is sort of a continuation of the current win. So in the next session, we'll see how the autonomous vehicles, which are there's already autonomous commercial traffic up and down some of the highways around the state. So we'll see where that continues to go in the future. There is a little bit more going on governing wise from the RTC and COG, but that's more to come on that. Maybe I'll update next time on that. So a lot going on in the last quarter.
Thank you very much. You've been very busy.
Yes.
All right, item number 13 are public service announcements concerning items of community interest with no council action or deliberation permitted. Do we have any public service announcements from the dais? Seeing none, we did not finish our work session earlier this evening, so we are going to recess from the council meeting at 8:31, and we will be convening into a work session in the first floor conference room. And when we're completed with that, we will come back out here. The public is invited and welcome to join us as we talk about naming of non-park facilities. Establish, reconvene. Thank you. We're going to reconvene into work session. We have one item left on the agenda, which is discussion regarding the naming of non-park facilities. And I hear that Ms. Leach is going to be talking.
I am very pleased to be here tonight. So I am here to present some follow-up information to you from the February 2026 work session. At that work session, staff received direction to draft a proposed policy with 3 parameters to add. The first was to add longtime volunteers to the list of eligible individuals when we were considering naming. The second is to utilize existing board structure to vet the requests. And the third is to honor current building names by making the process very the high standard. So the policy was drafted with the values of fairness, transparency, and consistency so that all involved, from applicants to council members to community, would understand the process and the criteria. At this time, I'd like to highlight the key pieces of the 5 sections of the policy that was included in the packet. So the first is definitions, and we only have 2, and so it defines the eligible buildings, and most importantly, defines what a community leader is for the community. That was drafted and intended to be a very high bar. The naming of a facility in honor of an individual is one of the most prestigious ways that you can honor service to a community. And so it was with the intent that that service should be exceptional in nature. The definition of community leader did exclude current sitting council members and currently serving staff members. So you have to conclude your service and then you are eligible for the naming if you meet the other criteria.
What if you already have your name on? No.
Oh, that's right, that's right.
The second section is defining the eligibility requirements, and this sets the minimums for years of contribution, residency, or service to the community. You'll notice that I did leave under 2E, I did leave the years of service for council.
Did you have a handout?
No, it is in your
It's
packet.
it's in the packet.
Packet.
I'm sorry.
Apologies for that.
Okay.
So for the council members, I have left that blank. If we use Addison as a guide, which I have used a number of different community policies to cobble this together based on the feedback that I heard. Addison has a 10-year minimum in order to be considered as to have anything named after a former council member. For us, that's slightly awkward because our terms for you all is 3-year terms, and so if we were going to look at an initial proposal out there, we would be recommending 9 years. So essentially 3 full terms as a council member. The third area that the policy covers is the submission process itself. And so there are 2 ways that the policy allows for submissions to come up for consideration. The first is community initiated, so anybody in the community can complete the application and submit a name for consideration. And the second avenue is a council initiated naming of a facility. Both, no matter which group that request comes from, the current policy, or the proposed policy as it's drafted, would have both of those submissions go through a very similar process. The only thing that would be different is the funding, where if it comes from the community member, an individual community member, there is a requirement around contribution for the renaming, the actual lettering, and whatever kind of recognition that individual would like to see. If those come from the council-initiated applications, those costs would just be considered as part of the project to implement. The fourth area is around the exclusions, and so this policy does not cover any of our facilities that are under the community experiences umbrella, because all of those facilities are already covered under the park ordinance that's included in our code of ordinances. As I mentioned, it does exclude currently sitting council members and currently serving staff members from consideration. And it does not include anything that is of the sponsorship nature. So recall that we had the conversation during the last work session around how would we handle sponsorships and that sort of thing. So sponsorship, the naming rights for buildings and those sort of things, that is all separate and apart from this policy. The last section I'll cover with you this evening is around just kind of the miscellaneous, so the junk drawer of this policy. So one of the considerations was around if there was an application submitted to rename a facility that already has a name attached to it. We wanted to set a very, very high bar for that to occur. And so under the proposed policy, the applicant would be required to submit an affidavit that says no living descendants of that person are still residing in the city of Coppell. So as an example, if there was and this is in the park, so the example I'm going to give you right now is in a park facility, so it wouldn't necessarily be covered, but let's just say, for example, somebody would like to rename Andy Brown Central to Ramesh Prem Kumar Central. that person who submitted Ramesh's name would have to certify that there are no living descendants of Andy Brown still living here in Coppell, because that initial naming was there for a reason, to honor that individual, and we want to make sure that renaming gets into consideration. There are some installation cost exclusions, so for any of those applications that are initiated by an individual in the community, we would not be asking them to fund, the cost of business cards or, any of the interior signage that would be required as part of that. It's really how would the exterior honoring of that individual, the costs associated with that, that's what we will be talking about. And finally, there is a very broadly worded statement at the end that essentially gives the council discretion to revoke or change a name at any time for any reason at your discretion. So at this time, I'll be happy to entertain any questions that you have. Everything that you see here is draft, and so none of this is carved in stone, so all of that is open for conversation and discussion.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, sir. I like the policy. I really appreciate all the hard work you put into this, Tracy. The only thing I don't like is that if it's council initiated, the city funds the signage. If it's citizen initiated, they fund the signage. It seems to me that if a citizen nominates someone, the council would still have to decide that, make a decision as to whether that application would be accepted, the name would be changed, or otherwise imposed on the facility. So it seems to me that the city should fund the signage either way, because whether council initiates it or the citizen initiates it, it's going to go through the vetting process, it'll be subject to the standards you've identified. And if council decided, hey, we're really glad you recommended that, Mr. Citizen, we're gonna do that. I'm concerned that knowing that, well, yeah, if I nominate this person and I actually am successful, I've gotta come up with several $1,000s to pay for the signage, could be a deterrent to the citizen-initiated nomination. So, and since the council would ultimately be approving the naming at the end of the day anyways, I wouldn't attach a price to the citizen initiating.
Don?
I take that, I'd go one step further on that one. I even wondered if they all ought to be city council initiated to begin with. And just basically citizens would work through a council person to actually recommend, some naming, and somebody, essentially a council person would sponsor the, raising it up to the council. And so instead of having that whole process, and this may be a stretch, but let's say somebody came in here and was willing to spend $1 million to name it after somebody that, we would not necessarily want that to be the case. We'd have the final say in it, but it would still have to be all vetted all in public. So maybe routing it through council and having them initiate it, and having somebody on council sponsor it might be the better way to do it. So that's one of the things I'd recommend. I do like the terms, like the 10 years for the volunteers sounds like a good threshold. And then likewise, three terms for council or mayor probably sounds right. Which is gonna leave me out because I got shorted 1 year on one of my terms, so I gotta go a fourth term. And then, the one question I did have is 25 years for staff, which I don't mind having a high bar for staff. It felt like a big variance from the volunteer and the elected threshold of only 9 or 10. So I'm not necessarily opposed to 25. It just seemed like a lot for a staff member. You could have a staff member come in here and only be in here, well, still it has to be a high bar, but let's say they could be in here only 10 or 11 years and still make a huge impact to the city, but they would not really be, eligible because they've only got half the tenure, even though it was very impactful. So I guess I'd open it up to other thoughts. while maybe it is more than just a volunteer, but maybe it's more like 15 or something, just something a little bit closer, or I don't know, I guess I'd like to hear some thoughts on that. So those are my initial thoughts on a couple of those items.
Mark?
You know, what Jim said, there was really what jumped out at me when I read this, and I don't think that the citizens should be responsible for changing the signage and incurring that cost.
Let's see, Ramesh?
I was looking for the button. Thank you, Mayor. Forgot there are no mics here. Tracy, thanks for the wonderful presentation. Thank you for doing the landscape research, because that was going to be one of my questions. So you mentioned you already looked at what Addison is doing, other cities, and if you don't have to answer now, if you happen to have handy some of the problems that other city face whenever they try to implement this policy, it'd be good for us to understand and learn from their mistakes as well. And I'm sure you've already factored into it, but I would love to see some of the problems that they face. And on the funding part, I'm in alignment with what Jim and Mark said. If the resident thinks of somebody and if it's still going to go through the tough screening process by the city council, I think the city council should have the option to say, let's fund this, and not expect the proposal to actually come to the city council if that recommender doesn't have the funds to move forward. And I like the 3 terms for the city council. And one final question, Tracy. I know in your scope you talked about non-park city buildings. Are streets included or not included in this?
They are not included in this.
So that would be
there is a process to rename streets.
Okay, that would be a different process.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Kevin?
I am in agreement with with coming through council. I think that makes sense. I'm in agreement with the funding that was discussed. I think all that makes sense. I'm gonna play devil's advocate on one thing, all right? And I'm not trying to stir the pot or anything, but is putting a, let's say like like you have to complete 3 years to be considered on council. Does that encourage somebody to serve longer? I think that's the only devil's advocate.
Wait, say that again?
3 terms.
Oh, 3 terms, not 3 years.
By saying I'm eligible to get a building named after me, does it encourage someone to run longer for that? And I'm just asking the question, it popped in my head, but, so, I don't know. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad
That's the
thing.
only reason
Mark knew, he's like.
I actually have the same question, because I wondered if there will be future council members that may want term limits. And so it could be that you have, so maybe it's 9 years, but not consecutive. I don't know what it is, but I was just thinking that, like right now, we don't have term limits. Who's to say that there won't be people around this table at some point that have term limits, and it's 2 terms, so they won't get the 9 years.
Should there be a combination of time on the city and service to the city? Time on the city council plus service to the city.
I mean, I'm gonna consider a little different direction. If I took a look at the past 15 to 20 years of city council members, about 75% of them have served 3 terms. So 3 terms is not that limiting. I would actually suggest that we go up significantly higher, especially for city council members. Now, if you wanted to talk about a boards or commission member, that would be a little different, but I think the bar ought to be a bit higher since you're elected. Brianna helped me out, but I had Marcia Tennell, Doug Stover, Billy Falk, Tim Branshaw, Gary Roden, Karen Hunt, Mark Hill, Cliff Long, Brianna, and Bijou, and myself would all be eligible at 9 years. I think that's a little bit long of a list of eligibility.
Candy Shan?
Just a thought.
Again, to my point though, if you extend it to 12 years, to 15 years, like, are you
18.
encouraging people to serve longer?
I don't think putting your name on your building is gonna force or encourage you to serve for 15 years.
Because maybe there's some vain people out there, we don't know yet.
Yeah, but I don't think that, I don't presume that in 4 terms, if I got elected, in terms that I'd do anything anybody wanted to put my name on the building for. But I do think that there are people that could serve in 3 terms and do something meaningful that might merit that. So, I think 3 terms is a big deal. Just because we've had a history of people serving for a long period of time, to me, that's a real plus. And I hope we don't get term limits, because I benefit too often from y'all's knowledge and accumulated wisdom, quite frankly, and I really do, look to what y'all think and say on things, because you've so often already run into it or seen it, or, have some really good insight into it. So, I think 9 years is fine. I think, to me, I think it's a good idea. Because remember, it'd have to be somebody that everyone agreed that this is something we really want to do. And there's only so many facilities anyways, so I think 9 years is pretty significant.
Are you suggesting that we have a mud fight to see who wins?
No, but the thing about it is, for most people, this is true for most people, by the time they've done their 9th year on council, that was probably preceded by park board, P&Z, something else, right? So, not for everybody, but for a lot of people. So, I just think each candidate would be evaluated on their individual merit, and 9 years seems fine to me.
So, did you have your hand up?
I did.
Okay, Don and then Brianna.
And I would say, along those lines, discretion is still up to the city council to decide who is worthy enough, regardless of how long anybody has served. It's just sort of a minimum, like it needs to be somebody stellar. So I think it's a good, because I do think you could have somebody who served a couple of terms and through a very impactful time with the city and had, a lot go on. And they could be.
Or they could serve 5 terms, everyone would just hate their guts.
Exactly. I wonder how they keep getting reelected.
Yeah, we got rid of this guy.
So I think ultimately, the council still decides who's worthy enough to actually get on the building.
Fair point. Brianna?
So I have 2 things. One is, okay, so non-park facilities, how many facilities does that cover?
Sure. So it's town center, the service center. So we front facing, so town center, service center, 265 Parkway. We have 5 fire stations, the Justice Center, Life Safety Park, the hangar, and the Animal Services Building.
Okay, so there aren't that many, really,
Yeah.
if you think about it.
I mean, it's more than 3 or 4, but okay, it's not 15.
Okay, thank you. And then the other thing that just kind of stood out to me was let's just say we name a fire station after Clay.
Yes.
And then, I don't see him moving, but maybe that's a bad example. But we talked about, like, somebody could come, and if you don't have a living descendant, then that name can change. I wondered if we could put, like, after 5 years or 10 years of that name being on that building, so that it's not constantly turning, because we know that people leave, people move, things happen. And we also know, we've got staff members who have served the community for a long time and they didn't live in the community. And so they're not going to fit that criteria, and I just want to think through that. Thank you.
Can I ask a clarifying question on the 5-year period that you mentioned? Is that intended, like, after a building is named, it cannot be renamed within a 5-year period?
And I was just throwing out a number, right, whatever that number is.
I just want to say, I really like that idea, because you kind of lock in that. I would say a minimum, just 20, 25 years, I think.
Okay, yeah, whatever that number is, just because, like, Chief Richardson, he doesn't live in Coppell, right? But he served the community. Someone may come forward and say, hey, we'd like to name a fire station after him. And then, you know, someone comes back later and says, I want that same station named after somebody else. And it's like, oh, we just named it 2 years ago.
I like it. 25 years.
20 or 25, that's
Yeah.
I think that's a great idea.
I'm good with that.
So Ramesh is next and then Don.
Thank you, Mayor. I like the cooling off concept that Councilmember Hinojosa Smith mentioned. Also, we talked quite a bit about very high standard. If it is a simple majority, and I'm okay with that, but let's keep in mind there are only 11 buildings to be named. So right now, none of them have, but we may quickly get to a point where this council could have named 11 places, right? And for future councils, that might be problematic, or they might want to go in a different direction. So should we, like the cooling off period, or for renaming something, there should be a super majority? I just want us to think about those aspects. I don't have the answers, but
I think that's a really good idea.
I like that too. I do too.
I don't like every new council coming in and wanting to change because they didn't agree with the previous council. So I'm done.
Got Don and then Jim.
So I'm gonna circle back, because you brought up a good example on city staff having a 25-year threshold, because you mentioned a name that I think probably, was he at 25? I don't know that he was at 25.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was at 25? Okay.
More.
But I guess that's another good example. I guess I'd bring up again, is everybody okay with the 25 for staff? And it's only 10 volunteers and electeds?
So,
gonna
what was your thought process behind that?
So on the 25 as a threshold, honestly, we had done an internal program, and in order to be eligible for that, you had to have 25 years of service to this community. Not 25 years in the system, not 25 years as a working adult, 25 years in this.
Like someone like did Clay have 25 years?
Clay started in '92.
So, yes.
And he
I would
retired
probably say yes.
2017.
Okay, just trying to,
Yeah, the mental math is not mine.
I'm just trying to think of people that we would want to
The quick and
consider.
dirty says yes.
Okay, I've got Don and Jim and Kevin, but I think Kevin had a follow-up question to her, so I'm gonna let them jump ahead.
So from what I just heard was 25 years internally, like that's the standard for you guys, right? Is that
That is the
what I'm
standard we used for a singular program. Now, 20 years is what you need in the TMRS system in order to be an official retiree. So that could be another option that's not necessarily arbitrary, but it is grounded in something that we are all used to.
And that was my follow-up question, is like, I guess from a city staff perspective, you guys are the staff member, like, what is the benchmark? Like, is it, let's get 20 years because I hit the eligibility, requirement? Is 25 a special number? Is 30 a special number? Like,
So for
because you get the fancy award.
Survival is the special.
A fair point, a fair point.
For the purposes of the policy that you have under consideration tonight, that's really a policy decision for the council on whether, everything else in here is very Coppell centric. So you can't, we don't have, state and federal individuals that are eligible because we wanted that service to be here in Coppell. And so that's part of why we had structured the employee piece of that the way we did, because we wanted that to be significant, exceptional service to this community, not just, public administration as a whole, but it was this community. Another way that we can address that is to add a kind of a blanket generic statement around the council may consider any other criteria that they deem appropriate in the decision-making process.
At the end of the day, just so y'all know, you have a lot of that. Yes. Well, it's because it is your discretion.
I mean, that, from a flexibility standpoint, it allows you to consider a lot of the things you're talking about on a case-by-case
Tracy,
basis.
is this expected to be adopted as a resolution or as an ordinance?
This is just an internal, I mean, this is just a policy,
That's
so
the
it would
reason
not
why,
need to be.
that's the reason I asked that question,
Yeah.
because the Parks Board and those kind of things, it kind of lays out, right? Unless you were to adopt this by ordinance, it's basically a guideline for you.
The policy for the park facility naming is in the code of ordinances. I mean, they did adopt that policy by ordinance.
Right.
I'm so sorry, guys, excuse me.
Don?
I guess the response, it's still a disconnect for me because volunteers are only 10 years, but then we're saying staff is 25, and we're using tenure as that's what staff did to contribute to Coppell. But a volunteer, we're saying they can do it in much less than 25 years. So that's where I have a little bit of the disconnect, is because I think you can have a staff member who was here way less than 25 years that had significant contribution. Or same thing on volunteer, you know, do we need to take them to 25 years?
My only point against that is volunteer, if you're volunteering in Coppell, you're truly doing it for no salary, but employees get some benefit out of that. I mean, salary is a benefit, right? So, but I mean, I'm okay increasing volunteers to 15 years, just so that it's closer to 25 than 10. But it can't be the same numbers, in my opinion.
I guess I would have thought the staff member is doing more than the volunteers are doing.
True. I mean, I would agree with that. But, so out of 11 properties, if we say X for volunteers and Y number for staff, so there will still be one or two that we would say it's for volunteers. And then of that, I think 10 is the minimum cutoff. We would probably have people with 15 and 20 and 25. So I don't think we'll have too many problems selecting the best. There'll be people with 20+ years of volunteerism, and we'll only have 1 or 2 buildings to be named after a volunteer.
And I suspect there won't be a whole lot of buildings named, period, quite frankly. There's not, so anyway.
I hear you.
Jim, I got you next anyway.
Thank you, sir. So I am in favor of lowering staff to 20. I mean, I think if you hang around long enough to retire, you ought to be eligible for naming rights. And I just wanted to clarify, yes, sir, go ahead.
Point of clarification, 20 years of service to the city of Coppell.
Yeah. Because, I mean, it's just eligibility. It doesn't mean, I mean, we have a lot of people that volunteer for 10 years, and, I'm not naming anything. But we still cherish their service. But I wanted one clarification. So, because, in a revenue-starved world, I'm always looking to raise revenue. So this doesn't have anything to do with selling naming rights.
Correct.
Okay.
Sponsorships is a standalone all by itself.
Do we have a policy in place to that effect?
On sponsorships?
Not that I am aware
Yeah.
of.
No? Okay. Are we opposed?
No,
Or we just don't have one?
we don't
Okay.
have one, and so let's back up for just one moment, even though this is all about this. In the old world, sponsorships weren't something that we actively pursued.
Oh, I know.
In a new world, it may be prudent for us to actively pursue. There are some policy issues associated with sponsorships.
Sure.
You can't, on a building that's built with bond funds, you can.
There's a limit to how much you can.
Yeah.
Tax exempt bond funds, right?
Right.
Correct.
Well, I didn't mean to side rail this meeting, but that, as long as this is separate and apart, we don't even have anything that, it certainly won't interfere with what we don't have.
Bingo.
Place one, sponsored by Bluebell.
Like the service center, there are industrial companies that might have a real interest in buying naming rights for the service center.
Like in one of my cities, the Trader Joe's did splash pad.
I mean, the core, there are all sorts of fitness-related companies that might want to buy naming rights to the core.
But there are to his point, there are limitations because some of these are dead. funding. And there is actually a limitation by law of how much
It's in
you
the
can,
bond coverage.
of how much you can use from a different revenue source.
Gotcha. Okay, well, I'm sorry, don't want to side rail.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I'm out of my list of people that wanted to say anything. Tracy,
Well,
do
Mayor,
you-
may I
do-
summarize what I've heard y'all share so far in terms of the area of consensus? Is that what you're about to say?
I was gonna ask you to put all your thoughts together and come back to us again.
No, but tell us what you
Yes,
heard.
okay, so I
Make
can
sure.
absolutely do that. Let me make sure that what I'm going to
Put together.
put together
is
matches
you-
what you all would like to see.
Yes.
So we will change the employee minimum to 25 year, from 25 to 20. We will use a,
Service to Coppell.
correct.
Yeah.
For the council member service, that will be 9 years, can be non-consecutive. We will eliminate the funding requirement for any application that is community initiated. Did we have consensus around, we would like all applications to be council initiated?
I would.
I heard a few people say yes,
I
but I
liked
did not
Don's
hear.
idea.
I like that.
It has to be
Me too.
sponsored by someone.
Yeah, effectively, you're getting
Yes.
pushed, you're asking a council member.
Like
to-
someone coming and say,
to
can
carry
you
it.
bring forward
Somebody's
a
a little
chicken
bit
issue?
pre-screened it with the council person, at least.
I like
Yeah.
that.
It's almost
Right.
like an initial.
So we
thing.
will then have, the way to apply is via city council. We will have,
Can I add something to that? I mean, I love the idea, but the final decision is going to be made by a city council anyway. So why don't we make it a little more democratic and allow any resident to file a request?
Well, that's what they recommended or that's what they wrote in originally.
True, and I'm liking that, and I'm not.
I don't think this other restricts that from happening. I guess you've gone through a council person or two or three or whatever to sort of carry your torch for you.
To be fair, that's what most people do when they come to a council member with an issue. They say, hey, you know, like, I want to see that, like, kind of, I know it was a side, but
The chicken.
someone asked Jim to bring up, you know, a discussion, and what did Jim do? As a responsible council member, he brings it to us, we discuss, and we move from there. To me, it's the same process that we have with everything else.
Yeah.
My only concern is that we'd end up with 50 applications. And then we would be deliberating on 50 applications. I'd rather, whereas if Brianna says, hey, you know, I've talked to this person, they've got a really good idea, you know.
And you ask the questions and you vet it out a little bit.
You know, and then she says, so this is who the person in the facility. Then I feel a little bit more comfortable, okay, you know, that's, number one, it's one application. It's not 50.
It appears to me that the city has been very responsible. The city and the residents have been very responsible with the parks and what they've brought forward and everything. But it does prevent, if anybody can just throw anything out there, it becomes public information and we have to, if they meet all the eligibility criteria, it would have to come here and we would have to have potentially awkward discussion to kill it. If that makes sense. So at least it's one more layer of, you gotta have at least a council person who's willing to carry the torch a little bit and.
For something this prestigious, if you will, like, I think that extra layer is important.
So that would be my, it's not trying to kill suggestions from the community, it's just trying to not make it completely the Wild West.
Sold.
okay, so there will be council initiated and or sponsored. And then approval of any naming would require supermajority vote of the city council.
I think, do we say renaming?
That was
or
renaming.
Renaming.
Oh, for a renaming,
Renaming,
got it,
yeah.
okay.
And
then do you have the part
member-
about the renaming, the after 25
And that was
years?
for 25 years is what I wrote down.
Yes, so 25
A
years.
moratorium on additional changes once a facility has been named.
Yeah, 25 years, and then it would require a supermajority.
Yes.
To rename.
Clarification, to me, 25 seems a long time if there is no surviving family members left. And keep in mind, we only have 11 buildings.
But we had originally said surviving buildings, surviving members in Coppell, we don't know that they don't have surviving members somewhere else.
think that's, I mean, we got Thweet, we got Cosby, I mean, not on the non-park, not on the park side, but, I mean, we got some legacy Coppell names that are out there. I don't know that that's, and it also makes it more, you have to be more prudent when you do name something, because it's gonna be out there.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
And my
It's
temper-
a little bit of a higher standard, because it's gonna be there
a little
for a
bit.
while.
You still wanna have a bunch of revolving names on our buildings.
I agree.
Well, plus there's certain costs associated with that.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Becomes part of your district.
so one more clarification, so does the, having it vetted by a council member, proposed by a council member, just write out the requirement that the citizen would pay for it?
Yeah, all of that, the cost sharing on the citizen initiated,
That
all of
goes
that
away?
goes away, yes.
Okay. Well, great work.
I heard that loud and clear.
So, clarification, for approving a name to go on a building, should we have a high standard as supermajority or a simple majority? I prefer a supermajority personally.
I like that too.
So just have it supermajority for everything, whether
For
you're naming
all
it first or
approvals?
renaming
That's
it.
6 out of 7,
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I mean,
That's fine.
You have to have 6 votes.
or 5 out of 7.
At
Under
least
the
it's-
law, there's different supermajorities.
Okay.
There's 2/3 and 3/4.
I think 6 out of 7 is awfully steep.
Whatever 6 out of
Oh,
7.
they're
5 out of 7.
5 out of 7?
5 out of 7.
Please
I
get
agree,
an extra
yeah.
one more vote.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Okay,
5 out of 7.
okay. I think I have, unless y'all have any additional feedback, I think I have it on email.
All right.
I have one
Kevin.
question though, about anything that is currently named right now. Do we have anything
I don't
that's,
think we have any.
we don't have anything named?
No.
I think things
Is
that
that
keep
right?
popping in my head.
Everything right now that is
It's a
named
park.
is a park
All
facility.
park, okay, never mind. I
Anything
just wanna make
else?
sure there wasn't anything.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Oh, I had one more.
How are you write the time down?
No,
Are
no,
you
it's fine.
kidding me?
Or
No,
one
Before the
other
minute's up.
thing, one other thing,
you're not getting your name on
no,
buildings.
that's not what I'm going for. I think about should we honor someone with just one facility versus multiple facilities? I have an example in our park system that we have multiple.
I agree, yeah.
But one facility.
So they're limited to
I
one.
agree.
So with the limit, understanding that we only have a small number of buildings.
I wonder if the park system was, and I don't know, I don't remember what happened, but I wonder if it was because it was one park and they kind of got split up after over time.
That's kind of what I'm thinking.
But I do agree with one building.
One-
You get one.
Yeah, my guess is the central and east designations came
Yeah.
later, when people were driving around going, where is this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Is that consensus with,
Yeah.
one, everybody good with one?
Yeah,
You get one building.
okay,
yeah.
all right,
Okay.
What about an accessory?
thank you.
All right, the time is 9:15. We're
Yeah,
at porta potty.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
gonna adjourn the work session
The
and
Jim
return to
Walker
the city
Savannah.
council meeting. Good evening, the time is 9:15 PM. We have adjourned from work session and are reentering city council meeting at 9:15. But there being no further business before this council, we are adjourned at 9:15.